Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be teaching you how to build a fintech crypto app, and we'll be doing this together step by step. So if you're a beginner, if you're an expert or a pro, you definitely learn a lot from this video. Without wasting much of your time, let's see what we'll be building today. So right here on my home screen, we have up to 5 screens right here, and on my home screen, it contains a brief information about the logged in user and also the coins we're getting from the API. And these are dynamic. You'll be able to upload your picture, create an account, log in, and also edit your information. So it is going to be a full stack crypto app. So moving on, you have the individual coins right here. You have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Theta, and the likes. And if you click on each coin, even before clicking, you're going to see the current price of that coin currently. As you can see, 61,000 for Bitcoin, and also how much it has gained in the past few minutes or so. So if you click on Bitcoin, you're going to be able to see the price change right here. As you can see, it changed. So this API is live, and you're going to get the real-time data for the coin you are selecting. Also, you're going to see the chart right here indicating the highs and lows of the particular coin, and also other information as well here. So if you go back, you want the same for other coins as well. Click on Ethereum. You're going to see the details about the coin, $2,000 for Ethereum. Going back, you're going to be able to see a lot more coins right here. Clicking them, you're going to see more details about them. If you go back and go to the market, you're going to see all the coins as we're getting them from the API. You're going to see a whole lot of coins right here. But to be able to narrow it down, the market section or the market screen will tell you the coins that gained so much in the past few minutes and the coins that lost a lot in the past few minutes. As you can see right here, that's that about the market screen. Moving on to the search screen, if you have a specific coin in mind you want to search for, let's say I want to search for Bitcoin, I can just say Bitcoin, and it's going to load and fetch all coin that has Bitcoin included in its name. So you can see right here, Bitcoin Cash. Clicking that, you see the full details about the coin, and also charts including the price and the all-time high as well. So going back, you're going to be able to do a lot with the search screen, and going to the news section, which is one of the most interesting parts. You can read about news regarding any cryptocurrency news in the world. Moving on to the profile screen, which is the dynamic part, you're going to see your profile picture right here and also the name. Editing my profile, you'll be able to edit your profile name and also some of the informations that we added there. You can also upload your picture and do several things in the edit profile, and you'll be able to save, and this information will be saved live on the database we will be using. So moving on, you can also log out. Logging out will take you to the default screen where you can log in or register as a user. So I'm just going to click on log out, and logging out is going to take me to the initial app screen, and it's going to say welcome back Olivia. You can change this to welcome back user if you want, and you can say okay, I want to log in. Then if you want to log in, you can input your information, or if you want to register as a new user, you can register, and this works like a full stack mobile app. So right here, I'm just going to log in with the email that I used to sign it up. So I'm going to say john@gmail.com, and I'm going to tap my password right here and click on login. Fingers crossed, I'll be taken to the home screen, and you can see the iOS simulator suggesting to save my password, and I'm going to say not now, don't save my password. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the full stack app we will be building together today. I hope you're pumped watching the demo and you want to learn how to build this cool React Native app. If you're interested, then stick throughout the entire video, because I have more tips than you can ever imagine on building this. Without further delay, let's jump into building this. See you there. All right, so first things first, let's open the IDE that we'll be using to write all our code, and that is Visual Studio Code. So if you don't have this, just go to Google, download Visual Studio Code, and this is what the home screen would look like. So to start installing all the packages to run our app, we're going to first head to the terminal. Then we're going to click on New Terminal. And you can see right here, I'm in my root folder on my Mac right here. I'm just going to cd into desktop so I can install everything I need to install on my desktop and see it. So I'm just going to head back to my Chrome. And the first thing we're going to install is Expo itself. And if you head over to docs.expo.dev, you're going to be able to see this quick start right here. And it says on the terminal, just install your Expo using this command right here. So I'm just going to click on copy, then head back to my Visual Studio Code and paste this code right here, or this command right here. Click on enter, and this is going to install Expo on my desktop and also ask some questions. And it says right here, okay to proceed. I'm going to type Y, click on enter. So right now it is trying to install Expo. And the next question, it says, what is your app named? And I'm going to name my app FinTech app, or I will just say FinTech crypto app. And I can as well change this to a capital letter. So click on enter, and this is my file name, and I can see this directly on my desktop after it has finished installing. So just give this a couple of seconds, and this is going to install Expo and all the files you need to start an Expo app. So while this is installing, I'm just going to come back to it in a couple of seconds because this might take a while before it installs, and it depends on your internet connection. If it is really fast, you have no issues, it's going to install pretty quick. So I'll be back to this. Okay, now that I'm back, you can see we have our package installed. It added 1,523 packages just for Expo and React Native alone. And as you can see, your project is ready. And to run your project, all you have to do is go cd. I'm going to type FinTech crypto app. And the next step is basically to run npm run iOS if I want to open it on an iOS simulator, or run Android, or run web. But before I even power up my simulator, I want to install all the frameworks or packages I need to make this crypto fintech app a success. Because if I start my app right now, I'll have to come back and stop the server every now and then after I install a package. And I don't want that experience to be such. So I want to first install all my packages, and I'll head back to my Chrome right here. I've installed Expo, and I can close that right away. So the next one I'll be installing is Native Wind, which is basically the package that lets us use Tailwind CSS as a styling in our React Native app. And the first stage is installing Expo app. I've done that, and I've seeded into my app as well. So the instruction says I need to install both Native Wind and Tailwind CSS. So I'm just going to copy this and head back to my terminal. I'm just going to paste this, install this. And please make sure you are exactly inside the FinTech crypto app so that you'll be installing at the right folder. So while this is installing, let's head back to our Chrome. I'm just going to copy these as well. I'm just going to head back to my Visual Studio Code. As you can see, this is also ready. So I'm just going to paste my command right here. And as you can see, I want to install. Let me bring this up a little bit. Or rather, let me just bring it back. So I want to install Tailwind CSS, but I want to install a specific version. If you want the latest Tailwind CSS, I think that was around 3.4 as at when I'm recording this video. you're going to need to install Native Wind a separate way. But if you want to install Tailwind CSS 3.3.2, you need to install it as a dev dependencies. So I'm just going to click on enter, and this is also going to install Tailwind CSS. So next up, I'm going to have to do some configurations right here, and it says run npx tailwind css init, and this creates this config file for us. Now let me check the progress of this. As you can see, this has been installed, and if I go to my file here, I may not see anything. That's all right. All I have to do is just bring this right here, collapse this, and as you can see, this is my crypto fintech app, and all I have to do is just drag that in my VS Code right here, so that way I'll be able to install all the necessary Tailwind CSS files directly in my root right here. And just to catch a glimpse of what we've installed so far, I'm just going to go into my package.json, and as you can see, this is what I've installed so far: Expo, React Native Navigation, Expo Font, Expo Router, Splash Screen, and the likes. Also, you're going to see Tailwind CSS right here as a dev dependency, and also TypeScript. So you have a knowledge of what we've installed so far. So I'm going to go ahead and initialize Tailwind CSS, and you're going to see that in my root folder right here. So I'm going to open up my new terminal back. And this, you don't need to cd into Fintech Crypto app anymore, because once I drag the folder inside of this, it just automatically sets the path as this. So next up, I'm going to head back to my Chrome, and I'm going to set up the tailwind.config, and also I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to head back to my terminal, and I'm going to paste this, click on enter. You see a config file created right here. As you can see, tailwind.config.js. So head back to your Chrome, and the instruction here says you have to copy this content, remove this content, which is an empty array, and replace it with this. So I'm just going to copy this, head back to my config.js, and it says I should replace this with what I just copied. And luckily, I can also change some things here. As you can see in my app, I have some file and folders here. Don't worry about that. And in this content, I want to replace this custom directory with what I'm going to call app. As you can see right here inside of my file folder structure. So after doing that, let me head back to my instructions right here, and it says preset. Make sure you add the plugins to it as well. So I'm just going to copy this, head back to my terminal, and I'm just going to head back to my babel.config.js, and I'm just going to put that right here. So this is how you make Tailwind CSS works in your React Native mobile app. So head back to the Chrome, and as you can see, that's it. You can start testing your Tailwind CSS in your code. So moving on, this is all we need to do for Tailwind CSS to work in our mobile app. So I'm just going to close this. And next up is React Navigation, and all we have to do is install React Navigation Native. And let me just copy that, and let me first check if that has not been installed automatically for us by Expo. And as you can see, it has already been installed. No need to install that again. So let's just head back to this, and all I have to do is install this as well, installing dependencies into an Expo managed project. So this just makes us works in a safe area when building our app. You don't want your app to exceed a certain height and covers the battery or the network tab on your phone. So these are the dependencies that will help us undo all of that. So I'm just going to head back into my terminal. I'm going to paste this, and let me check if that has not been installed for us automatically by Expo. And as you can see, it does as well. So no point installing this. So I'm just going to clear that. So head back to my Chrome and let me see if we need to install anything again. I don't think so for now. All right, on the left side of things, I'll have to go to my navigator. On my stack, I can see I need this stack in my app. All I have to do is do what? Copy this, then head back to my code and say, okay, I want to install this, which is the stack navigation. So moving on, I'm going to install the React Native gesture handler as well. Let me just check if that has been installed for us automatically by Expo. As you can see, it's right here. You need to install that again. So let me just head back to my browser, and I believe that is all I need to install for now. And this is how to use the Stack Navigator. List out all your screens and you can just have them layered in stacks. So the next thing I have to do is native stack, and this is going to help me create some native stack in my app. So all I have to do is do copy and head back to my terminal, and I'm going to paste this right here. So while this is installing, I'm going to head back to my browser, and as you can see, this is how to use that directly. You don't need to install any other thing. So I'm going to head back to my bottom tab, and the bottom tab, just from the name, this is what it does. And I have to just copy this, head back to my terminal, paste this and install it, and you're going to see the progress of everything you are installing so far. As you can see right here, React Native. So while this is installing, I'm just going to head back to my browser again, and you can see how we can use that. I believe that is all regarding navigation. If we have any other things to install, we can always come back and check the documentation and install other things. So I'm just going to close this. And the next thing I want to install is Expo Vector Icons, which is basically, as the name indicates, icons in your mobile app. And I'm just going to copy this. I believe Expo should have installed this for us automatically. Let me just check once again. Expo fonts, good. And you can see the version number 12.0.4. So head back to my browser, and you can see, close this. And the next one I have to install is React Native async storage. So all I have to do is, even before doing that, I'll have to use Expo Superbase in my app, which is used for handling the authentication, the database and all. And you can find out in this guide, expo.dev, docs.expo.dev guide/using Superbase. And this is what I'm going to use to handle authentication database, like I said before. And to do that, all I have to do is install Superbase, React Native async storage, which we have here. So I don't need to install this anymore. I can just close it because this is going to install everything for me. And also the last thing is React Native URL polyfill, which I'm going to be explaining pretty soon. So I'm just going to copy that, head back to my terminal. I'm just going to put this right here and install that as well. While that is installing, I'm going to head back to my Chrome. So this is the basic way to use Superbase in your project. As you can see, the tools that we install, this is what they all do right here. And as you can see, the setup, we're going to be doing this later. So I'm just going to close that. And the next one I have to do is installing TaskStack React Query. This is used for fetching the data in our mobile app. As you know, our mobile app will be fetching news, the crypto prices and all. We need a reliable API fetcher to pull all this data and also catch it. TaskStack Query is the app or the framework for that. So I'm just going to copy this, head back to my terminal. I'm just going to paste these right here. So while that is installing, you can see the progress as well. TaskStack React Query, it has been installed. So next up, I'm going to head back to my browser. We have a lot of frameworks to install in this app, and that is why the app is so sophisticated and advanced. But as a beginner, you're going to be going through this step by step. So the next thing we have to do is install Axios, and you can find this installation on npmjs.com/package. Then just search for any package you want right here. You'll be able to copy and install the package using Axios. So just copy it. Axios, by the way, it helps Time-Stack Query in fetching the data that we need. So all I have to do is go to my terminal. Then I'm just going to paste these right here. So while that is installing, I'm going to head back to my browser, and I'm just going to close this. With each of these packages I install, there's a documentation for them. I can find them under each of the installations. And the next one I want to install is Expo Font, just like from the name, Expo Font, using fonts, specific custom fonts in my app. But I think I have these in my package already, installed automatically for me by Expo. As you can see, it is right there. I don't need to install it again. So head back to my browser, just close this. So next up is Expo Image. I'm just going to copy this. This helps me in using the image and displaying them in my app. I have several crypto images, news images. I want Expo Image to be handling that for me. You can also use default React Native image for that, but I want to use Expo Image for that. And you can see all the documentation right here, as you can see. So all I have to do is I can as well copy this to install that. So copy that, head back to my terminal, paste this. So next up, I have to go back to my browser, and I can close this. And the next one I have to install is Expo Image Picker. From the word image picker, it basically helps us pick an image on our device so we can upload it to the database as our profile picture. This is what that does. And I'm just going to copy this, and I'm just going to head back to my terminal. As you can see, these packages, they are installing, and you can see right here, Expo. What is the last one that we install? I think it's Expo Image. As you can see, it's right here, Expo Image. So I'm just going to paste this image picker as well. Select it, and this is going to install Expo Image Picker for us. Moving on to my browser, close this. Expo Splash Screen. This is basically a splash screen that shows when your app is still loading. So basically that is what it does. And you can read more about it if you want to learn more about that. I believe Expo should have installed this for us automatically. Let me just check right here. Expo Splash Screen. Yes, it has been installed. I don't need to install that again. So let's just head back to our browser. Close this. And Expo status bar to, just like it indicates, status bar, those are what contains your battery, your connection, your network bar, and other things just at the top of your mobile device. This is what handles that. And I'm just going to head back to let me copy this. I believe this should have been installed already for us automatically by Expo. Some things come automatically when you're installing with Expo. And you can see status bar, I have this right here. I don't need to install that again. So I'm just going to close this. And the next one I have to install is React Native element. Just like it indicates here, you'll be able to work with custom components without having to write a lot of code. Like button, you can just import button from React Native element, and you don't be bothered about the color. Although you can set all those things as well, but you don't need to be bothered about setting all the views and all. Just import button. You have a button on your screen already. So let me check if that has been installed, or I will need to install that. So just copy that, head back to my code, React Native elements. We do not have that right here. So all I have to do is just Command V, paste that to install React Native element inside my app. Moving on, I'm going to go back to the next package that we want to install, which is hero icons. From the word icons, you know what that means already, using icons in our app. But remember that we've already installed an Expo icon before. Yes, I know that. But I'm using this because in some cases, Expo icons doesn't have some icons that I want. And I just want to use Expo vector icons on the bottom tabs. The remaining parts of my app where I have some icons, I want to use this. It's okay if you just want to use Expo vector icons or just this alone. It's fine. I just like to do it this way, and that works for me. So all I have to do is just import or install this, and I have to install React Native SVG for it to work too. So all I have to do is just go back to my terminal, and let me just see if I have SVG installed there already. No, I do not. So all I have to do is just paste this, click on enter, and this will install React Native hero icons and React Native SVG. So all I have to do next is go back to, you can see the documentation right here. Just import the icon using this, and you are good to go using this package. Close this, and the next one I have to install is React Native linear gradient, and from the image right here, you can guess what it does. So I'm just going to, let me see if it has a special installation apart from this. So just copy this and go back to your terminal. This is still installing. I believe since we are installing 2 packages, that is why it is taking its time. So that has been installed. All I have to do is just paste the next command that I have right here. Click on enter. This is going to install React Native linear gradient. So moving on to my browser, you can see the documentation right here on how to use linear gradient, basic implementation. I'm just going to close this. And the next one is React Native responsive screen. This is going to help us undo responsiveness on our mobile app. And using Expo, you're going to realize that you can even use Expo on web. So what this basically do is, okay, if I set or build my app in 15 Pro, I don't have to bother about adjusting the screen to fit all various devices. It will just automatically adjust to the weight and height of the device I'm displaying it on, either tab or desktop or PC. You'll be able to adjust your design automatically, and this is the package that helps us and do that. So just click that and head back to your terminal. I'm just going to paste this, click on enter, and some of these packages we might need to install a specific version for them, just like we did Tailwind CSS earlier. But fingers crossed, if they are all stable and we don't have any issues with them, we can just use them right away. As a developer, you'll be doing some of these. So after installing these, I'm going to head back to React Native Reanimated. From the name React Native Reanimated, you can guess what it does already. And it basically means installing or using animation in your mobile app. You can see documentation right here. All you have to do is just copy this, head back to your terminal, and paste this right away. So while this is installing, you can even check the installation guide, documentation guide right here. And I'm going to open this right here. As you can see, this is what it does, React Native Reanimated. So if you click on Get Started, click on Get Started, you're going to see the installation guide, and this will guide you into installing it the proper way. As you can see, we've installed it first like this. Secondly, we need to import these as a part of the plugin. So all you have to do is just copy this, head back to your terminal, and head back into your babel.config.json. And after this, all you have to do is just paste this, and you're good to be using React Native Reanimated in your app. So moving on, all I have to do is just head back to my browser and see what the next step is. As you can see, everything is installed, and this is how to use Reanimated and animation in your mobile app. So I'm just going to close this as well. And the next one we have to install is React Native Safe Area Context. I believe this has been automatically installed for us by Expo. So go back to your code or your Visual Studio code and check for that Savory Upon Test. It has been automatically installed. Let's move on to the next view. So as you can see right here, I'm just going to close this. TypeScript as well, it has been automatically installed for us. And as you can see right here, you have TypeScript here. So we don't need to install TypeScript again. So let me just head back to my browser, close this. Gesture handler, let me check what as you can see, that has been installed for us as well. No need to install that again. Some of these frameworks, if I don't explain them in details now, I'm definitely going to explain fully further. So bear with me. So the next one is React Native URL polyfill. I believe this has been installed already, polyfill. So don't need to bother about installing that again. WebView is the next package we have to install. Because we are building a news app, some of the news are live on a website, and to be able to view website on your mobile app, you need a web view, kind of, to be able to view whatever website you want to view on your mobile, so that it kind of show you the mobile website version in case you want to view it on your mobile phone. So all you have to do is just go through the documentation or just click this to install that. Head back to your terminal. I'm just going to paste this. Moving on, while that is installing, I'm just going to close this. The next I want to install is Victory Native, which is basically charts. We have some charts in our app, and this is going to help us handle the charts in our mobile app. Let me see if I need to install anything. As you can see, we need to install React Native Reanimated, React Native Gesture Handler, and also Shopify React Native Scale. Now, I have installed this and this. So all I have to do is just install this as well. So I'm just going to copy this and install this as well. And as you can see, the instruction says, start by installing the paid dependencies of Victory Native, React Native Reanimated Gesture Handler, and Scale. I've installed this and this. I have this and this to go. So let me just go back to my terminal and let me type npm I, and let me paste this command right here. I can also go back to, before installing that, I can go back to my code as well and say, okay, I want to copy this, head back to my terminal, and I can also paste this. This is not a way to install multiple packages. All you have to do is just type npm once and type in all the packages with a space in between. As you can see, npm I at Shopify / React Native Scale, then space Victory Native, and click on enter. This will install the two packages, and you're going to find them here any second from now. So moving on, head back to my Chrome, and I believe I've installed everything I need to install for this chart. Close this, and finally on package installation, I have to stand right here, which is basically what it says here. It's more fast, scalable state management solution. Basically, it's for storing the state of the logged in user, or whatever state we want to store on our mobile app. TwoStand is that store that will help us solve that. And TwoStand is related to Redux and all, but I'm using TwoStand because it has a great documentation for Expo and Superbase. So I'm just going to check if it has a special installation. So just copy that and head back to my terminal. So this is still installing because, like I said, it is a 2 installation. It takes more time than installing just one. So that has installed, you can find them definitely right here. You can see Shopify and the other package I will install. So I'm just going to paste the next and the last framework that we're going to be using to build our fintech crypto app, which is TwoStand. Head back to our browser. I'm just going to close this. And what I wanted to do to make this experience seamless is go to rapidapi.com, register, sign in if you already have an account, then search for coinranking/API/coinranking1. This is the API we're going to use to pull all the several coins that we want to display in our app. And all you have to do is just, use these several endpoints right here. You can test the endpoint, and you're going to see the results on your right. As you can see, this application is using version 2, and this is going to show the crypto coins that are currently on the market. As you can see, this coin has 50 items. Or you can see Bitcoin, you can see the change, you can see the different data that we need, and you can even see the price, 60,000 US dollars. So this is the endpoint that will handle all of that for us. Secondly, we're going to be displaying news in our app, and we're going to be using cryptocurrency news. Typically for cryptocurrency, so all you have to do is just subscribe to this as well. It is free, just like coin ranking, it is free, and you have a limit per month, and you're going to see basic is $0 per month. You can only eat 5,000 ETH per month, and if you want more, like 1,000,000 ETH per month, you can subscribe, but the basic is enough for us. So the same with cryptocurrency, it is free. You don't need to buy anything. You can see it's $0 per month. This is currently what I'm subscribed to, 100 per month. That is enough to build this app, and that is all we need regarding setting up our basic installation. All I have to do is just head back to my terminal, and I can actually start my app right now because I've installed everything I need to install. All I have to do is just type npx expo start, click on enter, and it might suggest that we are not installing the proper dependency versions. And that is the good thing about Expo, which will suggest, okay, hey, I think you need to install this so that you can work with this other package in your app. And you'll be lucky that it gives you that. If it doesn't, then that means that you don't have any issues regarding installing or installing some packages. And I might actually need to change this later. I can actually need to change this to SRC or something like that, but I think I will just change it now. So let me just click on this. I change this to SRC. I'm going to create the folder later, and like I said before, SRC is just pointing to the folder. Okay, you are going to be using TOSSS in all the files in this folder. That's basically what this is doing. And you can see my app is started right now. And if you scroll up, you're going to see the following packages should be updated for best compatibility with the installed Expo version. Expo font, you need this specific version. React Native Web View, you need this specific version. All I have to do is just cancel this, stopping the server, Command C or Control C, and I can type npx expo doctor. Click that, and this is going to run the expo doctor for me to install the appropriate dependency that will work with the installed Expo, because these dependencies, they need to work very well. The version needs to work very well with the installed Expo. If not, you're going to have some issues with your app. So I'm just going to run this check, and if it finds any issue, it is going to suggest that I install it like it has done a couple of minutes ago or a couple of seconds ago. So just wait for this to run its check. So it's running 12 checks on my project, and you can see check the packages, match the version required by yada yada yada. It's found that, and it's going to suggest how to install the packages for me as well. So as you can see, one or more checks field indicating possible issues with the project. Good. The advice is now to use npx expo install check to install the necessary dependency that work with each other. So I'm just going to copy this, command copy or control copy, paste this, and this is going to install the necessary dependencies that work with each other. And as you can see, the following package should be updated for best compatibility, like I said. And it said fix dependency. I'm just going to type Y, and it is now installing the packages that work together. So give this a moment to install the packages that work together. And because they're just two, it will not take time like that. So it has installed two SDKs and changed two packages for me. All I have to do is just start my app back again. I don't need to type npx export start again because it is a command I've used before. All you have to do is go to your arrow key, the right bottom left arrow key on your keyboard, and just click on up, and you're going to see expo start right here. Click on enter, and you'll be able to start your app. And you can see it's starting Metro bundler. And as you can see, all you have to do, if you have an iPhone, a real device, physical iPhone, all you have to do is scan this QR code with your camera, and make sure that before you scan it, make sure you have Expo Go installed. As you can see, the name Expo Go. This is an app on App Store. Install it on your phone, and whenever you use your camera to scan this, it will just open this project directly on your iPhone. If you don't have that, you can also open this app in several ways. On Android, you need Android Studio and its Android emulator to be able to open this on Android. If you have an iOS emulator, you can use it as well. All you have to do is just make sure that you're on a Mac. If you're on a Mac, you can easily open an iOS emulator, and that is good to go. If you want to open it on web, good for you. Open it on web and you are good to go. So now all I have to do is just start my iOS emulator. I'm just going to go to another terminal right here. So I'm just going to type open -a simulator. I hope this is correct. So you're going to see it disappearing, but right here you can see my simulator is opening, and you can see iPhone 15 Pro, and it is running on iOS 17.2. So now that our simulator is up and running, if you check here, you see the app that we'll be using for the most part of this mobile development, which is Expo Go. So we'll just head back to our previous terminal. All I have to do is just press the letter I, and this is going to open on iPhone 15 Pro, and as you can see, it is opening right now. So voila, you can see our app right here. Welcome, and as you can see, this is the React Native logo, and we have some set of instructions here that says, okay, if you want to edit anything here, just edit it. And what it's basically saying is, okay, go to your app, under your tabs, index just TSX. I'm going to bring this terminal down, and you can see this welcome text right here. Let me just change this to hello world, and this is going to automatically save, and you're going to see our changes live. So everything we change is live. It has an auto reload, and everything you do, you don't need to reload the app. It automatically handles all that. So in my own case now, I'm going to start afresh, and I'm going to delete some folders that it is not necessary, so that you can understand everything that is going on right here. So all I have to do is just close this, and I'm just going to minimize my simulator, and this is the app that I have open here. So the first thing I have to do is delete this app folder, and I'm going to drag that into my trash bin. And also I have other folders I have to delete as well. I'm going to delete my component right here. So let me just head back to this. So my component, I'm just going to drag it into my bin right here. Also, I'm going to delete the files in these books. I don't need them for now. I want to start afresh. So everything inside of books. So I'm just going to click this, and I'm going to drag 3 files inside of the bin. So I'm going to go back. Also, I'm going to add into my content or constant folder you have right here. I'm just going to drag the entire folder. I'm just going to drag the entire folder into this. Also, finally, I'm going to delete the script folder right here. So my script folder right here, I'm going to delete these. I do not need most of these tools. And let me just head back to my folder right here and open up back my simulator. And you're going to see this message saying welcome to Expo. Start by creating an app folder, and if you click on this, it is going to create a new app folder here, but that is not what I want. Currently what I have is this Expo folder, and do not touch this at all. We are not dealing with this at all. We have the assets, which includes the font and also some set of images, some set of nice images right here. As you can see them, React logo and all. I'm going to be deleting them and importing my own asset too, but I'll just drag and drop and replace that. Moving on, these hooks, nothing is inside. Node modules, leave this. These are the packages we installed and their files. Git ignore is basically, okay, I want you to ignore all of these files when pushing to GitHub. In future sessions, we'll be pushing our code to GitHub and also syncing it with Expo, just in case we want to build our app. Also, you have the app.json, which gives you a brief information about your app. As you can see, the name is Fintech Crypto App, the version 1.0, the icon, and so on and so forth. So, the babel.config.js, it has to be like this for reanimated and native wind to work. This, leave this as this. We're going to be needing this very soon, but it's not in this file. Package.log.json, it is similar to package.json, which basically includes all our packages, and basically this manages all our restored packages. So I'm just going to close this. README, if you want to add a specific README, okay, this is a cryptocurrency app and it is a fintech app, it does this, it does that, it is owned by that. This is where you're going to do that, and it's going to show directly on your GitHub. So close this. Your tail with CSS, all you have to do is change this to source and have this as it is right here. And also finally txconfig.json, which is basically the TypeScript files. So all I have to do is just close this. And first things first, I want to create an app file. So I'm just going to click this new file. I'm going to call this app.tsx. And inside of this, it is saying ask GitHub Copilot chat to do something. And by the way, I'm going to be using some autocomplete feature here to make my coding faster. And as you can see right here, I have GitHub Copilot. If you don't have that, just head to your extensions right here, click it, search for GitHub Copilot, install it, and you're good to go. So, and also I want you to install this extension as well, ES7 Plus React Redux React Native snippet. This is going to help us work faster as well. So let me just head back to my folder right here, and if I just type rnf, you're going to see React Native functional component. If I click it, you're going to see what that looks like. Again, let me Ctrl Z it, and let me increase my screen as well. So if I type React Native functional, as you can see, it has several options. If I click the second one, you're going to see a basic functional code here, which is an arrow function. As you can see right here, an arrow function. So all I have to do now to make sure this shows on this is to basically change something in my package.json. So if I head to my package.json, right here where it says the main is expo router /entry, I don't want that to be there. So I'm going to be putting a different line of code there. And this is going to look like this. So let me just clear this. We're going to say node underscore modules /expo /app entry.js. As you can see, GitHub suggested this for me and it works perfectly. So as you can see, node underscore modules /expo /app entry.js. So this is going to be my app entry whenever I start this app. So moving on, to make sure that this starts right here, all I have to do is stop my app and start it again. So I'm just going to close this, minimize this, Ctrl J to stop my server, Ctrl C stopping the server, I can also clear it as well. Then on my simulator, I'll go to my home. I'll basically want to clear this app. So I'm just going to scroll up right here. I'm just going to clear that out of the memory. And I'm going to start, go back to your terminal. I'm going to start this again. And I'm going to click on npx xcode start. So immediately my app is bundling. It is going to bundle and start my app with this. So after this, just type I. Opening on iOS, it is going to open my app right here, and it is going to bundle my app again with this as the starting point. So let's just wait for that to work. As you can see, appentry.js, and in a second you're going to see my text of app. As you can see it right here, you might not see it properly, but hey, it is there right here. If I just change this text and say I have apps, you're going to see the S right here, as you can see. So this app entry works as expected. And the next thing I have to do is test if my Tailwind CSS is working. So to do that, I can just say class name. And I'm going to say BG orange 500 flex of 1. Let me just change that to this, and you can see my Tailwind CSS works as expected. But there's a squiggly line right here which is no overload matches this call, yada 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 yada. Okay, what you have to do is make sure that you add a type for these native wind class names. So all I have to do is just say, okay, create a new file, and I will be calling this native wind. This is in the documentation as well for native wind, because you're having these squiggly lines, and it's showing that because you're in a TypeScript environment, this is going to throw any error we sees and not ignore it. That's the essence of Tailwind CSS, and everybody knows that Tailwind is a typed language, so you need to include the type for most of the things that you have right here. So I'm just going to say native wind /env .d.tx, click on enter, and right here I'm going to put 3 slash. I'm going to see reference, and I hope GitHub helps me here, and I'm going to say reference types is equal to, then a colon, then I'm just going to have this right here. So we have reference. I don't think my reference is correct. Reference, good. Types, then inside of these 2 curly braces, I'm going to have native wind /types. Good. And in a moment, you're going to see that those squiggly lines, they have disappeared. And that is what I want. So close this, and you are good to go. You can style these as you want. You can say, okay, justify of center items of center, and say, okay, I want to have my class name right here, and say text of white, text of 3XL, font of semi-bold. And as you can see, our Tailwind CSS works as expected. So moving on, I'm going to create my file folder structure and how I want my entire app to be. So right here, I'm going to create some new set of folders, and the first folder I'm going to create is a source folder, src folder. So you can click this and say, okay, I want to call this src, and also I'm going to be creating other folders as well. So I'm going to create in screen folder. So inside of this source folder, I'm going to be creating 2 folders as well. I'm going to be creating a new folder, and I'm going to call these components. And also I'm going to create another folder inside of here, and I'm going to call these screens. This is going to undo all the screens in my app. You know, screens like, okay, home, news, profile, and all. This is where those ones will live. And components are just like the button, the several type of button that we have, and other little components that makes up the entire screen. This is where we're going to have them stored. So inside of my components, I'm going to have some interesting things. So first things first, I want to have a new file, and I'm going to call this avatar.tsx. I'm just going to create a basic boiler code right here, nothing special. Inside of the components folder again, I'm going to create a new file, and I'm going to call this breakup.jsx, and I'm just going to say React Native functional components. As you can see, calls breakup, which is an arrow function with a view and text. So moving on, in my components as well, I'm going to create the third thing, which is a button, and I'm going to make this a PSX. And I'm going to say this is React Native functional component. And finally, in the component section, I'm going to create a button, outline.tsx, and I'm going to have my boiler code right here too. So I'm going to save that, although everything is on automatic save right there. So I'm just going to close these components, and back in my screens, I want you to take note of what I am going to do there, because it is essential to how your entire app behave. So first things first, on my screens folder, I want to create a new folder called auth. I want to create another new folder. I want to call this navigation. And also, I want to create a new folder called stats. And also, I want to create another new folder, and I'm going to call these tabs. So these are the 4 folders I will have inside of the screens. And inside of these folders, I'm going to have different things inside. First things first, in my auth, I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call these index.tx. Also inside of auth, I'm going to have another file there. I'm going to call these login string.tx. So the next thing we're going to create inside of our auth folder is going to be a register string. And I'm going to call this register string.tsx. I'm just going to bring this to the right and say React Native functional component. And also inside of our auth, I'm going to also create a splash screen.tsx. And this ought to be .tsx as well. And also, I want to create the final screen here, which is going to be a welcome screen. And from what I'm doing and what I'm creating, you can have an idea of what I want to do with all these screens and all. This is a login screen, which will basically have all our login components where we can log in, register from the name register screen. Splash screen, this is a splash screen that will just display our logo or app logo for the user as the first point of entry into our app. And the welcome screen is okay, welcome to our app. You want to register or sign up. And this is basically what our app would do. So welcome screen, close that, register screen, close that, login screen. Let me have its components here as well. Close these as well, splash screen, React Native functional components. Close this as well. On my index, I don't need to do anything here yet, although I can set it up right now if I want. And that's basically, I'm going to import all of these screens inside of index.tx. But now I don't want to do that. Let me just close that. And now I have my alt folder almost ready. And next thing I want to do is go into my navigation and set up the files that will be there as well. So inside of this navigation, I want to have two major things. One folder, which is tab navigation, which are the bottom tabs that I'm going to have right here. And also I want to have my app navigation, my alt navigation, and root navigation. I'm going to explain more of these as I code them. I'm going to explain more of these things I'm creating as I'm adding more code to all these individual files. So inside of navigation, I'm going to create a folder called tab navigation. Let's just keep that for now. Inside of this navigation, again, I want to create a new file. I'm going to call this app navigation. And my bad, I have to add the extension there as well. This is going to be .jsx. And inside of this as well, I want to create a new file, and I'm going to call this alt navigation.jsx. And also inside of this, I'm going to have a root navigation.jsx. And these are essential things you need to set up if you want to undo authentication with your app, because as a user, you don't want them to, or as a business owner, you don't want registered or unregistered user to just see the entire content of your app. You don't even know if you are to display their name because they are not registered or they are not logged in. You need a proper flow in your app. If the users are logged in, you have to show them the main app. If they are not logged in, or if they don't have a session, show them the alt navigation. And this root navigation is what we undo both of these navigations. So you can get a little grasp of what we want to do with all of these tools. And this, I can rename it to TSX. And also alt navigation. In fact, let me rename everything to TSX. And let me just leave that for now. And the next thing I want to add are files inside of this tab navigation. Let me just show you what I am creating. Let me put a visual to what I am creating so everything doesn't look like magic. So right here, these are the bottom tab screens I want to add right here. Initially, I created some alt screens, which are the login, register, splash screen, and all. And all of those, I'm going to show you more of that. But this tab navigation, this is what I want to create right here. The home, the market, the search, the news, profile. They need to be in their own specific folder. So, and right here is where I'm going to have that. So let me just minimize this. And inside of tab navigation, I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to first call this index.tsx. And also, I'm going to create a new file here. I'm going to call this home navigation.tsx. I'm going to put a functional component right here. Let me just minimize most of this. This doesn't have anything inside of them. I need to put something in there so that I can import them. This as well. And also app navigation. And yeah, we are good to go. So instead of my home navigation, I have this. Next file I want to create, or next bottom tab I have to create, is the market navigation. So I'm going to say market navigation.tsx. And I'm just going to create with boiler code right here. Also inside of the tab navigation, I want to add another new file. I want to add the news navigation.tsx. And I'm just going to create a boiler code for that as well. Moving on, I'll also create two more, and those are profile navigation.tsx create a boiler code for them as well. You see how fast we are moving and how accurate our code is. We're creating all this boiler code with just 3 keywords, R and F, and it's going to create a boiler code for us. So finally here, I'm going to have search navigation right here .tsx. I'm going to create React Native functional component. So save that. Although it is automatically saved, I still have to press the Ctrl S. Who knows what is happening? So again, inside of my screens, I have the auth folder, the navigation folder, the stacks folder, and the tabs folder. In the auth, I have the login screen, register, splash, and welcome with this index.tx. Inside of my navigation, I have the app, auth, and root. You can guess what's going to go inside of the app, which is basically everything inside of the tab navigation. And the auth, everything inside of the auth folder right here is going to go into the auth navigation. Our root is going to include just this and this. This is a proper industry standard way of setting up authentication in your mobile React Native and Expo app. So moving on, I want to add 2 files inside of the stacks as well. Whenever I click on any coin, let me just head back to my image right here. Whenever I click on any coin, I want to be able to see the full details of the coin. That screen is going to be sitting inside of here. The same as the news as well. If you click on the news that shows up, you're going to be able to click on each of these news and see the full details. You need to put those 2 detail strings inside of the stacks. And I'm going to minimize this. And this I'm going to call coin details screen.tsx. And the other one as well, I'm going to be calling it news details screen.tsx. Good. And I'm just going to create the boiler code for this. So I'm just going to close this. Just going to set this up as well. Good. Finally, I want to have my tabs also. And inside of these tabs is where all of these that I just created is going to stay. So follow along and let's create the new set of folders inside of the tabs. The first folder I'm going to create is home. The next folder I'm going to create is markets. The next one I'm going to create is news. The next folder I'm going to create is profile. And also I will be creating search. And I believe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is the 5 folders I want to create for all of this. So inside of my home, I'm going to create 2 files, index.tx, and also I'm going to create home screen. Camel case, home screen.tsx. And I'm going to create a boiler code for these as well. I know we're creating a lot of files, but trust me, once you have all the files created and you have them imported, all you have to do is just writing code inside of these files or screens, then clicking any screen to take you directly to the screen, and you won't get errors here or multiple errors which might definitely crash your simulator. We want to be able to have those files ready. We put them there. When you navigate to those screens, you have no issues at all. So the home screen, index.js or ts rather. So inside of my market as well, I'm going to do what I did for home. I'm going to do it for these as well. So my screens are ready. All I have to do is just put some codes in them. Or if I don't want to, I can just import them and set up my bottom tab notification so you can see what is really going on so far. So moving on, inside of my app.tsx, let me start importing things. Let me just close these up. So first things first, I want to create a variable here. I'm going to create that using use states, I'm going to say const. I'm going to put an arrow here, and this arrow is going to be equals to use states. And this use states is going to be coming from, and let me just check. You can see right here, use states, and this is what that would look like. So I'm going to put two things. I'm going to say session. I'm going to set session. So this is my state, and this is the function that sets the state. So in my session, I can say, okay, if session is true, then do something. Here, I'm going to say this is true by default. And good. So all I have to do is come right here and create a basic container first. So I'm going to say, okay, create a variable called container. And I'm going to assign this to installed. And I'm going to put this inside of a view. And okay, I need my backticks. And let me just check this. And all I have to do is just put flex colon of 1. And all I have to do is just close off these backticks right here and click on tab. I'm just going to save that. So it says styled doesn't exist. All I have to do is just import styled right away. So I'm going to say import styled from styled component / native, and it says can't find module styled component native. Okay, so if you get that squiggly line, it shows that okay, something is wrong there, and it says can't find module styled component / native or its corresponding type. So all I have to do is just open my terminal and go to the other terminal. Let me clear this and say npm I want to install the styled component. So I'm going to put component right here. I hope this is correct. So click on enter. It's going to install the styled component, and I'll be able to use this style method right there. So just give this a moment, and this quickly line will disappear any moment from now, as you can see. Good. And our app should work right away. If it doesn't, good, it does. No need to restart our app. So the next thing I have to do is wrap all these views. And by the way, let me just give you a brief intro about what is happening right here. View is like a div if you are coming from web. View is like a div where you wrap around all your text, images, buttons, and codes, and you can apply styles on them. Text as well, you know what that means. They're like H1, H2 if you are coming from the web, and so forth. So right here, I'm going to wrap this around a container. I'm going to say container, and I'm just going to cut this, and I'm going to put this right here, which is a container. It still works perfectly. Moving on, I'm going to say, okay, I want to import the status bar. So I'm just going to say status bar, and I'm going to be importing these. Let me just import this right away. Import open curly braces status bar from expo status bar, and as you can see right here, this is the status bar we're trying to change. I want this to have a dynamic color based on the theme of our app. So basically, all I have to do is just say style is basically equal to auto. So saving that. So moving on. So I'm just going to say, okay, I want to have root navigation. As you can see, it's the first thing suggested here. Clicking it and closing this off like this, we're going to see your root navigation right here. Anyway, I don't think I'll be using this right here. Let me just cut this And anything I'm not using, let me just remove it right here. Save that. So back into my root navigation, I'm going to have some interesting things there. So right here in my screens, I'm going to head into my navigation. Inside of my navigation, my root navigation, and as you can see, this is what is displaying that here. So first things first, let me just put what I cut from the previous code right here, and let me just import this, and let me just import this from React. And you can import anything or any method by just going to the last line, clicking your Ctrl and spacebar. It is going to suggest things you can import, and as you can see, that has been imported. Good. So all I have to do is just set up the entire root navigation right here. First things first, let me bring in the create stack navigator on my screen right here. So we're going to say const. I'm going to create a variable first called stack. Now I'm going to, as you can see, GitHub already suggested this to me, create stack navigator. So I'm just going to say import, open curly braces. I'm going to be importing from at React navigation slash native slash stack. Let me see if that is correct. React that navigation dash stack. I believe that is what I want. So I'm going to import two things, the transition preset and also the create stack navigator. So I'm just going to say transition preset. As you can see, it has already suggested it already. So click that, and also I'm going to import create stack navigator. This is what we imported. So this is what I'm going to use in my composition right here. All right, you can see what I'm talking about. The more you get errors, the more your app loads, the more your app crash. I might even turn off my autosave. Let me turn that off and go to my, let me just open my terminal and let me just reload this. It says no app is connected. I have to start it all over again. So let me just Control C this and stop it. Let me clear all of this and let me start my app again. And let me just minimize this and let's see where we are with our code. So on top of that, I'm going to import navigation container because in every stack, there's a navigation container that handles all the stacking and all. So it's like a parent that handles. So basically, I'm going to say, let me import the navigation container, and this is coming from React navigation slash native. And let me just click that, and that is exactly what I want. So in my return statement here, let me just bring this down and minimize this. As you can see, GitHub is already suggesting all of this for me. GitHub Copilot, by the way. But because you're a beginner, I'm going to type this so you can understand what I am doing. So navigation container. And I'm just going to carry all of these, cut it, and put this inside of this. That is the first step. The second step is using the stack.navigator. And let me just change this to a capital S. So basically all I have to do is say stack.navigator. You can see all the things you can use inside of the stack. I'm going to use the navigator and I'm going to close this off like this. So inside of the stack navigator, I want to have just two interesting things. First things first, I want to say, okay, do something interesting. I want to open this curly braces and say, okay, if the session is true, okay, open my tab navigation. If it is not true, then just direct the user to the login screen. That's basically what it does. So I'm just going to type session right here. So I'm going to say if session is true, then I'm going to say, okay, open two brackets. And this is quaternary operator, by the way, guys. So if session is true, open our first screen, which is going to be start.screen. And this is going to be a self-closing tag. And I'm going to say the name. It is going to be tab navigation. And also the component that will stay inside of this, it is going to be the tab navigation. And I don't think I have that exported yet. I'm still going to check. The same thing that we have here, let's just copy this, or let's create it ourselves then. So I'm going to say stack.screen. It's going to be a self-closing one. And I'm going to say, okay, the name is going to be odds navigation. And also I'm going to say the component is going to be odds navigation from dot navigation. As you can see, I was able to import this because the export works as it should. And let me just go to my tab navigation and see what I am doing wrong. And okay, inside of these, let me just create a boiler code right here and say, okay, this is going to be called tab navigation. So I'm just going to say this is going to be called tab navigation. And this is exactly what I want. So let me just close this. And right here, I can just import this. As you can see, it has already suggested that. So import that and close this. I hope there are no errors right here. And let me just check once again. Let me go to my tab navigation and say, okay, I want the class name to be flex of 1, background of blue of 400, justify of center items of center, so that when I'm navigating between or toggling between the session state, you're going to see what is happening. So Command S to save that. And also the second thing is my alt navigation. So instead of my alt navigation, I'm going to say, okay, the same thing, class name, BG of orange. I'm going to say this is 400. I'm going to say flex of 1, justify of center items of center. And I'm just going to save that. And this should work as expected. So let me just minimize this, and fingers crossed there are no issues popping up. So Ctrl save, and they're going to see that there is no error at all. So because my session is true, it is going to show the tab navigation, as you can see right here. If it is false, it will show my alt navigation. So let me just set things to false so you can see. Ctrl save. You're going to see my alt navigation. So you can see what we just did now. If the session of the user, that is, if the user is logged in, show something else, which is tab navigation, which is basically everything that we have right here. But if the user doesn't have a session, direct them to the login or register page so they can sign up. And this is the screen that handles all of that. So you can see this right here. This is not what I want. So all I have to do is just remove this view, because this view normally shouldn't be there at all. And as you can see, my screen is now filling the entire screen. So in the alt navigation, let's just set some things up first. So in the alt navigation right here, I want to bring in all the screen, which is basically the splash screen, the welcome screen, the login, and the register. And let me show you what I mean by that. Just like I imported this, let me just copy all of this, copy this, come back here, put this right here, and I can as well import these as well. Good. So next thing I have to do is now stack all my screens right here. So like I did before, I'm just going to remove all of these, and I'm going to start with a stack. I'm going to say stack. As you can see, GitHub has already suggested it. Because we created this before, let me just autocomplete it to make our work faster. So stack.navigator, stack the parent, then for the stack.screen. So first things first, I want to apply the splash screen, and I'm going to name it splash, and I'm going to call this a splash screen. As you can see, it has already suggested that for me. I'm going to be doing the same thing for the other screens as well. So copy this, and I'm going to have it 4 times. So the first one here, I'm going to say I want to have a welcome. This is going to be a login, and this is going to also be a register. Register. And I'm going to change this to, as you can guess, the welcome screen that I've created. Welcome screen. And you can see how easy it is creating all of this. And that is because we've set up our files and folders earlier. So moving on, I'm going to import the login screen as well. And finally, the register screen. I'm just going to click that to import that. All my screens are ready, and just before I leave, I want to make sure I hide some things right here and also set some things up properly first. So in my stack.navigator, I can actually hide this header and all, and even show the kind of animation I want precisely. So I'm going to say screen options. As you can see, it has already suggested that. Screen options, it opens a curly braces. I'm going to have 2 curly braces. So a curly braces, opening, closing. As you can see, GitHub already suggested header shown to be false. So if I do that and click on command save, you will see the header disappear, as you can see right here. And it even shows the first screen we have right here, which is a splash screen. If I just cut this out, I'll save it. You're going to see 2 screens right here. The auth screen, or the auth navigation screen, which is the main parent. This is the header. You can see the splash header as well. So this code is going to hide this right here. So Control save is going to hide that splash screen. I'm going to be hiding this as well, don't worry. Let's just move ahead with what we have for now. So also in my React navigation, I don't think I have it right here. Let me just import, okay, right here. Let me just import transition presets. I'm going to have a comma right here. And under this, I'm going to say, okay, I want to spread the transition presets. Transition. I hope that spelling is correct. Presets. Then I want my component on each of these screens to slide in from the right. So slide from right iOS. Also, I want to have animation enabled, because animation gives life to your app, and using it will make your app more interesting. So I'm going to say animation enabled. I'm going to call this to be true, comma, I want to have the gesture enabled as well. And I'm going to set this to true as well. And finally, I want to have the gesture direction. Gesture direction. And I'm going to put this as horizontal. Good. So let me just save that. And there shouldn't be any errors at all. So fingers crossed, we are done with this auth navigation. for you guys, we are done with this of navigation. We will not be coming back to this, and this is everything we need to do right here. As you can see, my first screen, splash screen. So imagine you're not logged in and you come into our app. This is the first screen you're going to see with our logo and all. Then automatically we're going to set a timeout which takes you to the next screen and you'll be able to see the login or the welcome screen. And I did forget to add in the root navigation, I forgot to add the header as well. That is why this is showing. So the same thing I have right here, I'm just going to copy these as well. Control copy. And also inside of the root navigation, inside of my stack.navigation, I'm just going to put these as well. I hope I've imported that already so I don't get any error. So I'm just going to save that, and you can see my header disappears. I'm not using these, as you can see. I'm not using them. That's why you have those squiggly lines there. Let me just remove that. And I have no issues with that. Let me check my alt navigation as well if I am not using some things. So right here, I don't seem to be using this as well. Let me just remove this. And I am good to go. So I can actually close my alt navigation screen. And before I leave here as well, remember we're still coming back to this to set the session properly. But before that, let me first bring in a nice logo in my splash screen so we can move from there, from the splash screen to the welcome screen, to the login, to register, then to the main app itself. That is how we should work, and that is how the flow should look like. So let me just head into, let me close this, let me open this, and let me just minimize everything right here. Let me close this as well. So inside of this, inside of my screen, inside of my alt, inside of my splash screen, I have this nice piece of code right there. So inside of here is where I'm going to have my splash screen. And to start with, I want you to download a file in the description box below. It's going to be in a Google Drive. You can download it. It basically just includes logo of what we'll be adding at the center of here. So let me just minimize this and import my asset as well. So let me just do this and just import this directly. And it says an older item named asset already exists at this location. Do you want to replace it? Yes, guys, I want to replace that. And if I minimize this and go to my font, you're going to see the several fonts that we'll be using. And this comes in regular, bold, semi-bold, and all, as you can see right here. And also my images, you can see them right here. So that is what I want to do. You can see the avatar that I'll be using. You can see the avatar I'll be using, which I'm going to be replacing with the actual user picture. You can see the bitcoin.png that I will be using and all. So download these in the description box below. And let's head back to source, screens, and inside of my auth, inside of my splash screen, that is where we're going to import our nice looking logo and animation so we can show the user this screen first as they are coming into our app. So let's get started with that. And to start with, I'm going to first import use effects. And if you're coming from the web, you know what use effect is. And if you don't, you're going to see how it works right now. So import that. I want to import other things as well. I want to import save area, view from React Native save area context. Also, I want to import, and that is use color scheme from not React Native scheme. I want to import that from native wind. And also I want to import the animation part as well. So I'm going to say import. Before I import anything, I want to import animated. I'm going to have a comma here. I'm going to say I want to import fade in right. Fade in right. And I want to import that from React Native. As you can see, GitHub Copilot suggested that for us already. And next I want to import is image from export image. So I'm going to say import image from export image. Good. Finally, I want to import the navigation prop and use navigation. As you can see, GitHub Copilot has already suggested that for us. So I can import something else as well. I'm going to call this navigation prop. And it says this does not exist. Navigation prop. And you can see all these white lines, which indicates that we are yet to use all of this. So first things first, let's create a variable. I'm going to call this is going to be curly braces, and I'm going to assign this to use color scheme. And inside of this, I'm going to say color scheme. I'm going to say toggle color scheme. Also, I want to import something as well. I want to say const. And I'm going to say, okay, bring in navigate. And this navigate is going to be assigned to the navigation prop that I installed or that I imported right here. And I'm going to assign it to use navigation right here. So let me just go back to my folder right here. And let me just minimize this. So in my root folder, I want to create a new file, or no, I don't want to just create it anywhere. Let me just put it inside of a folder, and let me just call that types, and I can actually have it in small letter types. And inside of my types, I'm going to create some interesting things. First things first, I'm going to create a navigation .d.ts. Remember I tell you that TypeScript is a typed language and you need to set things up properly. That is the types. So I'm going to have one here called env.t.d.ts. Also, I'm going to say, okay, I want to also have module.ts.d.ts. So inside of my env.d.ts, all I have to just do is just declare module, and I'm going to put this in a curly braces at env. Good. Put a comma and you are good to go. Next up, in my module.d.ts, I'm going to declare two things. I'm going to say, okay, declare module, and I'm going to put this in a curly braces. I'm going to put asterisk. Where is my asterisk? Good. .png. The same thing, I'm going to have .jpeg here. Declare module asterisk .jpeg, and this is also good to go. Close that. Then in my navigation.d.ts, this is where the main work is. Make a comment here, and this comment is going to call tabs, or I'm going to just call these types. And first things first, I'm going to say, okay, I want to have a type of splash screen or splash navigation type. And I'm going to assign these. I'm going to say the welcome is going to be undefined. And creating this, I can now use this inside of my splash screen. So copy this, head back to this. I'm just going to open a less down sign here and say splash navigation type, and I'm just going to close this off. As you can see, the error disappears. That is how TypeScript works. And moving on, I have to set a use effect right here so that when we see our logo, it just automatically goes to the welcome string automatically. As you can see, it has already suggested that. So I'm just going to use that code. As you can see, use effect, set timeout, navigates to the welcome screen at exactly 2 seconds. So if I save this, it is going to wait for 2 seconds, then automatically navigate to the welcome screen. Let me just comment this out. And let's have our design here first. So first things first, I'm going to change this to save aerial view. And what this save aerial views is basically telling us that, okay, this splash screen to show under this. So if I just save this, I hope there's no error here. So just save. As you can see, the splash screen is sitting under the save area. Without that, it goes above it and our information is lost. But with this save area view, it stays underneath of it. And this has its class name, of course. The class name is going to be flex of 1, justify of center, items of center, paging of white. Save that. You can see it is centered accurately. Moving on, I want to have a status bar right here. So I'm just going to say status bar coming from export status bar. And I want to set the style. I can actually set the style to be equal to auto. So next thing, I want to have a view right here. I want to have a view. And inside of this view, I want to have class name and width of 4, px of 4, items of center. And inside of this, let me just cut all of this. Let me put this right here, save it. Nothing changes, and I have to bring in 2 separate views. Let me just remove these texts for now and say, okay, I want to bring in 2 views. I want to bring in 2 views, 2 separate views. Or let me leave it as this first. Inside of this, I want to have some interesting things. But before I do this, I want to change this view to animated.view. This is how you make your view component animated. I'm just going to say animated, which we already imported from React Native Reanimated. Making it a view, it automatically animates the view or make it active for you to apply some animations on it. I'm going to apply 2 of these. Copy. Put this right here as well. The first one, I'm going to add some class names. Obviously, I'm going to say class name, and this class name is not going to be curly braces. It's going to be 2 strings. I'm going to say flex of row, justify of center, items of center. And to actually make the animation works, all I have to do is just put in a parameter here, and that should work right away. But before that, let me first see it without the animation. Let me just bring this here and say, okay, I want a view as well. And inside of this view, I want to have the class name, and the class name is going to be PR of 2, which is party rights of 2. Also, I want to have another view inside of this. And the properties for this is also going to have a class name. And the class name is going to be width of 20, height of 20 overflow of hidden. And also finally, I want to bring in my image. So I'm going to say image. I'm going to say image. And image is going to be self-closing tag. And this is going to say source. And the source is going to be require. Then I have to set a path for the image. So this is going to be dot dot slash dot dot slash. It's going to be 3 dot dots. And inside of my assets, I have my images, then I have my logo.png. And this should work right away. Immediately I add the height and the width. So the placeholder is going to be called blur hash. This is coming from Expo, by the way. Moving on, I'm going to say the content fit is going to be cover. The transition, it is going to have a transition of over 1000. And finally, the class name, because every image must have an height and a width. So I'm just going to have width of 4, height of 4, and flex of 1. I don't think we need this flex of 1 here, but anyways, let's move on and let's see what is happening first. So right here, all I have to do is just create this blur hash. So right here under my navigate, I'm just going to say const blur hash. I'm going to assign it to a long regex. So I'm going to be leaving the regex for this blur hash in the description box below as well. It is a long one and you can't really type all of this in by yourself. And you can see how long this is. So moving on, you can see my blur hash is here. And the remaining thing I need to do is just save this and import my image, and hope it works as it should. So let me just save this, and this should disappear, and you can see my logo right here. So moving on, I just have to add a text here so you can see what that looks like. Same thing here, as you can see, animated. I can minimize this, and instead of this second animated.view, I can say, okay, I want to have a class name here as well. A class name, and this is going to be flex of row, justify of center, items of center. And inside of these, I do not want to have a view, but I want to have a text. And the text is basically going to say stacks. And I'm going to have a class name right here. And this class name is going to say the following: text of neutral 600. Let me just save that so you can see what that looks like. You're going to see the text anymore from now stacks. So let's just customize it to look very well. So text of XL. And also I'm going to say the leading is going to be 60 pixels. And also I'm going to say padding left of 1. And all I have to do is just duplicate this text. So copy, paste these as well. I'm going to call these crypto, stacks crypto. And this is going to have a unique color apart from neutral of 600. So I'm going to have the hash right here. I'm going to have the code where I'm going to say 31A C N, and I'm going to put 3 here. I do hope that code is correct. As you can see, okay, the color is showing right here. That is what I want. So save that. You can see stacks crypto. Although I want to have a unique set of fonts for these two, and I'm going to set the font for the entire app in a moment. And before I leave, let me just set the animation for these two components right here. So the first one, I'm going to say, okay, I want to have an entering And this entering is how you basically set the animation for your app. I'm going to say fade in right. Okay. And the duration for it to fade in right is going to be 100. And also, I want to springify it. Good. So this is how you add animation to your app. And make sure that the view is also in animated. So copy that, save that. We're going to see it come in once I reload the screen. So this as well, I'm just going to bring this right here, copy and paste, basically. And this is going to have a duration before this. So I'm going to say dot delay, sorry, not duration, dot delay. So it has the duration of 100, delay of 200, and a springify as well. So after this shows first, this is going to show. That is what I definitely want. So the only thing I need to do is set up my font so that they look as I want them to be. So before I leave here, I want to just go to my hooks folder. Let me just minimize this. Let me close this. And inside of my hooks, I want to create a file. This is where we're going to undo all the fonts, all the unique fonts we want in our app. As you can see, this is the font provided to us by Expo or React Native. This is the default font. But if you want to use a custom font, this is how you undo things. So create a new file. I just call this use caged resources.ts, and this is going to undo more than fonts anyway. So first things first, I want to import all things or everything fonts as fonts. I'm going to be importing this from Expo font. Moving on, I'm going to say, okay, import use effect from React Native, React, and let me just import use state as well. So I'm going to import use state. You can see all the methods coming from React. Moving on, I'm going to say import. I'm going to say from where. I'm going to import from at Expo vector icons. I want to import font awesome. Moving on, I want to also import everything that is asterisk as splash screen from Expo splash screen. So moving on, I'm going to say, okay, I want to create, let me just export default function, use sketch resources, and let me just close this off. So this is how the function will look like. So the first thing I want to put here is definitely an async function that will load all my resources. So first things first, I first want to create a state. I'm going to say const. I'm going to put this inside curly braces, inside an empty array, and I'm going to assign it to use states. And I'm going to be assigning it to false by default. So inside of here, as you should know, you're going to be having is loading complete. And what am I going to use to set is loading? I'm going to say if I'm going to say set is loading complete, and that is going to be set to false. So the next part, I'm going to say, okay, use effects, and my use effect is going to look like this. I'm going to have an arrow function inside of that with two curly braces, and definitely going to have a dependency array like this. And this is how use effect is used. So inside of this, I'm going to create my first function. I'm going to say async And by the way, this code I'm writing is on the Expo website. This is basically something you can reuse in all your Expo app to load the fonts, the splash screen should show, and whatnot. This is how to set that up. So I'm going to say async function, as you can see, load resources and data async. I'm just going to close this off. And I'm going to say, okay, once you have performed this function, try something. So I want to try and definitely want to catch any error that occurs. And that is how that works. Let me just put in an E here so that it relieves us of all the errors. So try and catch. And you can even add finally. Let's do that. Finally. And this, I'm going to add curly braces to these as well. So in the first try, I'm going to say, okay, I want to have my splash screen. Then I want to prevent what? Auto hide async. I want to use this method on the splash screen. Then after that, I want to await. Then I want to await the font dot load async. And I'm going to open it as a method and open the curly braces inside of it. And it says font does not exist or something. Let me just continue this and say, okay, my font name is plus Jakarta Sans. I'm going to put a colon here and say require, and the require is going to be dot slash assets slash fonts. This is not correct. Slash fonts slash plus Jakarta sans dash regular.ttf, and I have to wrap everything inside of a string for that to work. Now I forgot to also bring in something. As you can see, it is complaining I cannot find fonts. Do you mean fonts? So let's just change this to fonts, and that should work as expected. So all I have to do is just copy all of this and paste it 4 times. So I'm just going to say paste this, paste this, paste this. That's 4. This is 5, and this is 6. So this is going to be of extra bold, and this is not going to be regular as well. This is going to be extra bold, and the next one is going to be of bold, and this is going to be not regular but bold, and also this is going to be bold italic. And just like I have that right there as well, I'm going to have this as bold italic. And also I'm going to have this as medium. And just put the right word. Change this to medium as well. This is how to set your custom fonts. So plus Jakarta Sans, I want to put medium italic there as well. Let me just copy all of this, control copy, then put all of these inside of this like this, plus Jakarta Sans dash medium italic.ttf. Then once you're done with that, all you have to do is come under this. So instead of this, I just want to have, just right here, I want to spread the font awesome.font right here, and that should work as expected. So basically, I'm creating the font and importing it and assigning it to all of these values. So if I just copy this, use it anywhere in my app, you're going to see it works straight away and show the font, unique font here. So in the cache, I want to say, okay, I want to provide information to report whatever is happening. I can say, okay, alert. If there's any error, just alert the error. Then finally, I'm going to say set is loading complete. And I'm going to say this is going to be true because it is false by default. And I'm going to say splash screen. And this splash screen, I want to perform a method on it called hide async. And that is what that looks like. And finally, right here, I want to use the method of load resources and data async. I just want to have these right here. So just after this, I believe I have a curly braces here. I'm just going to say return. What am I going to return is loading complete, because I still have to use these somewhere else. So I believe that is all I need to do here. So let me just save this. Fingers crossed there are no errors. So this is loading complete. I still have to use it somewhere in my app. So back in my splash screen, let me go to my app first and use that first. So right here, I have to bring in clowns. Then I have to paste this. Okay, I did not have that copied. So let me just copy this. Copy this, go to my app, paste this, and I'm going to assign it to use caged resources that I have in my hook right here. So just import that, and that shouldn't throw any issues or any error. So moving on, before I return this, I'm just going to say, okay, I still have to use this is loading complete. So I'm just going to say if is loading is not true, that is, if loading complete is not true, just return no. That is all I want to do right here. I believe there's a typo right here. So just save this, and that should work as expected. I only still have something to do here, which is a session, by the way. So I'm going to just close this, and I'm just going to copy this. Let me just copy this, because I want to use that font in my area here. So I'm just going to head back to my components right here and say, okay, I want to have a style here, and the style is going to be assigned to two curly braces like this. Then I want to say font family. I want to have a font family here, and the font family is going to look like this. It's going to be inside two strings. Then I'm going to paste this. Then I'm just going to copy this as well. Copy this. Come here. Put this as well. But this is going to be bold, italic. Bold, italic. So save that. if you notice that your font is not working as expected, just head back to your app.tsx, and this function that we imported, use cache resources, it is a function, and you can see it right here. It is a proper function, and the function is supposed to always end with these two brackets. On save that, you should see your font working as expected. So the next thing we have to do is head to the welcome screen as you have it right here. So let me just head to my welcome screen, and that is what I have right here. Let me just close this. So first things first, I want to import some things or jump into coding straight away. So I'm just going to change this view. I'm going to change this to safe area view, and this is coming from React Native safe area context. Let me change this to safe area view as well, so it matches. So I'm wrapping all my components inside this safe area view. Also, I'm going to have a class name here. I'm going to say class name, and I'm going to assign this a flex of 1, justify of between, items of center, background of white. On saving that, you see the changes so far. You can see the effect of safe area view. Moving on, I want to have a status bar right here. I'm just going to say status bar, and this is coming from export status bar. I want to set the style. I want to set it to auto, just like we've done previously. Also, I will be wrapping my entire, anyway, this is what we'll be creating. This is the welcome screen we will be creating, and this is what our welcome screen will look like at the end of the day. This is the welcome screen, the logo, these two nice buttons, and also these two third-party buttons as well. So let me just continue working on this. So next thing we have to do after this is create a view, and I'm going to have a class name here, and this class name is going to say I want to have a width of full, px of 4, items of center, justify of center, space, y of 6, height of full. That is what I want for my view. So this, I can as well just delete this, and let me minimize this so that it doesn't interrupt what I'm doing right here. So right under this, I'm going to say the first thing I want is a welcome text, and I'm just going to add a comment right here. I'm going to say welcome text, and inside of this, I'm going to say I want a view. I want a view, and inside of this view, I'm going to have a class name, and this class name is going to just see justify or center, also items or center. And inside of this, you can guess what I'm going to have here. I'm going to have some text inside of this. So I'm going to say, okay, text, and this is going to say, let me turn off my autocomplete because it seems it is interrupting with the learning here. So I'm just going to say welcome back, Olivia, or I can just say welcome back user. And this is a welcome stream. It's just add only welcome. We don't know the user, we don't know anybody yet. So let me just say welcome. And yeah, I can see the class name is going to be text of local 800, text 3xl, font of medium, leader of 60 pixels, And also I want to have a style here. So the style, you get to the style with a, this is going to be font family instead. And this is going to be plus Jakarta. Plus Jakarta size blue. And at the end of the day, this text is going to be animated. So let me just change this to animated dot text. Animated dot text, and it's saying it doesn't exist. Let me just what's that? As you can see, this is coming from the Web3 animated, and with every animated dot either view or text, it comes with the main animation properties. And I'm just going to say entering is going to be fade in down, and the duration it's going to be of 100. And also I want to have a delay, and the delay is also going to be of 100. And I'm going to springify it. And that is what that does. Save that. You should see the animation right here. Welcome. All right. I believe I don't need any more text here. The next thing I need is a login and sign in button, just like we have right here. This welcome, this login and sign up button. And you remember those are buttons. And what I have to do is create their own unique buttons, because one is having a background of green. And as you can see right here, one is having a background of gray, one is only having an outline. And we're going to create that in our component. So just above here, let me just undo this very well. Let me just minimize this. So this is going to be a login and sign up button. And underneath of this, I'm going to have a view. And it is nice to have it. And also I want to have a class name. And the class name is going to say wait or full, justify or start. Then inside of this, I'm going to have two views. I'm going to say this is the first view. And they are both going to be animated. Our two buttons that are going to be animated. And I remember I tell you that whenever you have an animated, you must always have an entry. I'm just going to say fade roll down. I can as well copy what I have right here. But okay, let's just continue building. So I'm going to have a duration. And a duration, as you can guess, is going to be 100. I'm also going to have a delay. And delay is going to be 300. Also, I want to stringify this. And why is it shouting at me? Let me just check once again. Stringify has to be a method with two bracket closing it. So after the entry, I'm just going to have a class name. And the class name for this is going to be just padding button of 6. That's it. Good. All I have to do is just include my custom button right here that we have inside of our component. So I'm just going to say button. I'm just going to place this off like this. And you should see my button right there. So if I add it to my button and customize this, I'm going to see the changes right here. So let me just copy this. Let me copy this instead. Where we have animated.viewing. Let me put this right here. And let me change this to button outline. I save things. You're going to see the bullet buttons right here. Good. Although I want this to have a delay or 400. Save that, and we should be good to go. You shouldn't have any padding button. Let me just remove that. And excellent. So let me go into my source folder component button. This is where I'm going to have the first button, and you're going to see changes directly because we've already imported that. So first things first, I want to import some set of things first. Apart from this, I want to import pressable from React Native as well. Pressable, and I'm just going to say pressable, and this pressable is going to have the following class name. Class name is going to be PG, and this is going to be the following color code to a B07C, just like we have it. Rounded or large, justify or center, items or center, padding white of 3. And also I will need to add a custom title right here, because I want my button to be reusable, and this is how to make it reusable. I just have to pass title here, but this title doesn't exist. I have to add it inside of here. So I'm going to add 2 curly braces right here, and I'm going to say title, comma, I'm going to say action as well, comma. And by the way, I need to assign this to a button props. So like I said, typeface is a type language. You need to add types to it. So I'm going to add an interface. I'm going to say button, supposed to be cap locks, and no colon there. Button props and a curly braces. I'm going to say the title is going to be of any, and also the action, which is going to be optional. So putting a question mark make it optional, and I'm just going to have this as a void, and all I have to do is just assign this to the button props, and these errors should disappear right away. If I save that, this button text is going to disappear until I pass the title text in wherever component I am using that. Before I move on to that, let me just change this to class name. And the class name is going to be text of white, font of bold, text of large, and that should be all for this component. And also this, I need to wrap this little side of a React functional component, and also I have to wrap it around the button props, just like this. I'm making or adding a type to this button. So all I have to do is just assign this action to the onPress right here. So I'm going to say onPress, and I'm going to assign action to it. So whatever function I attach to this to be called like this, and it is going to be optional. I don't need to pass a function to it. So let me just head back to my welcome screen before I add anything to this. I'm going to say, before I save that, I'm going to say the title is going to be a login. And if I just save that, you're going to see the button that I just created. Let me save things first, and let me save things as well. As you can see, this is my login button, and if I add the action to it, it's going to help me navigate to the sign up screen. So let's move ahead to the button outline before we add the function or navigation that will take this to the respective pages. So inside of the button as well, let me just copy. I don't think I'm using view. Let me just remove this. So let me just copy everything here, take it to the button outline, then just change whatever I have here, button outline, and good. If I save this, you're going to see the same thing right here, but there are a significant difference between both. And in the principle here, I do not have a background of green, so I'm just going to remove this in the button outline. I'm also going to say rounded is large, and even before that, I want to have a border of 2, and the border color is going to be neutral of 400. Rounded large, justify center, item center, padding y of 4 or 3, flex of row, and also space x of 2. Good. The same thing, I'm going to have an on press of action. And also this button props is going to say button outline props. And you're going to see it display some errors. So just copy this, replace this with this. I'll also display this with this. And we are on our way to all of this. Although I still need to add something here in case I want to add like a specific icon. You can see this button and this button looks the same. And this icon right here, we don't have it right here. To be able to have this icon right here, which is optional by the way, I need to make this as a children. So basically what I'm going to add here is going to say children, and children is going to be optional. I'm going to call this react.react note. So the children are optional, and I need to bring them right here, children. And also I will need to do something as well. So just above the text, I'm going to say if the children are true, then I want to show a view. Then I'm going to wrap everything inside of the children that we passed in as well. And it says view doesn't exist. Let me just import that. So that error should disappear. So if you pass in a children, good, nice. Just add it in front of the text like this. And let me just bring this right here and minimize that. So, right, but I still have to change the text color. I'm going to say this is neutral of 400. Font is going to go text of large, and I believe that is all regarding that. So all I have to do is just head back to my welcome screen and add 1 or 2 things here. I'm going to add a title, and the title for this is going to be, as you guessed already, this is going to sign up. So sign up. And let me just see this, Ctrl S, as you can see the outline already. Let me just save this as well, sign up. And our welcome screen is shipping up gradually. So moving on, let me just minimize this right here. I want to add a breaker line here. So I'm just going to say breaker line. I'm just going to add a view to this, and also add a breaker. And I do not think I have the breaker here, or I don't have it created yet. Okay, I have it. Nice. Why are you not showing me the import? Let me just import. There's no suggestion. And let me just see if the spelling is correct. So it seems it's in JSX. So I will just head back to, alright, I have it exported. Let me just minimize this. So the breaker, I'm just going to import it manually by myself. I'm going to say import breaker, and this is coming from /component/breaker. Voila. I have a breaker there. So save that. You're going to see the breaker here. So that is not how the breaker looks like in our design. As you can see, it is just this nice line with an all statement right there. And I'm just going to close my button outline, go to my breaker, and have the set of code for the breaker right here. So I'm just going to first change this to animated.view, and I need to import these from, let me just import it manually. So import animated, comma, I want to import two things, and the other one is fade or right. I want to import it from React Native animated, and just save that. And like I said again, this was have an entry, and the entry will fade in right dot. The duration is going to be 100, and this is going to be a delay, and the delay is going to be 500, and Springify as well. This is also going to have a class name. It's going to have a class name, and the class name is going to be flex of row width of full. Good. As you can see, the animation worked as expected. Right. Inside of this, I'm going to have three views, three separate views, and this is the first one. Let me copy this. Copy. Paste. Let me remove this or cut this and have this side on. Yeah. Anyway, so the first view is going to have the following properties: class name, and the class name is going to be height of 10, width of 40%, justify of center items or center. And inside of this view again, I'm going to have another view. Let me just copy this, and this view is just going to have the following properties: class name is going to be border top of 2, border gray of 400, then width of full. Save that. The same thing I have right here. I'm just going to copy this. I will replace that with this, and that should look like this. And inside of this, I'm going to have a text, and the text is going to have a class name, and the class name is going to be text of this, text of mutual, and that's 500. And I'm going to have a text in between that says how. And let me just have the following properties. I'm going to say, I'm just going to say class name, the width of 20%, justify of center, items of center as well. And this text, I have the properties as well. As you can see, this is definitely what I want. So now that this breaker is ready, all I need to do is just close this. And so I'm just going to check what next on my design. And you can see this nice space in between them. I will need to sort that out. The next thing is to have this button right here. I already have this custom button right here. All I need is just copy and paste the right here and add their respective children icons. So let's just minimize that. Let's go back to our home screen. All right, here I'm just going to say this is going to be, I'm just going to say third party auth. And I'm going to have two button outline there. But before that, I want to have a view here, and this view is going to be animated dot view. And as always, this is going to have an entry, and the entry is going to be fade in down, and the duration is going to be 100. I want to delay it as well so that they come in after each other. Delay this by 600, and finally springify it. Also, I want to have a class name here, and the class name is going to be border white, padding bottom of 4. So moving on, then I want to have my button outline right here. So I'm just going to say button outline, which I've already imported. I'm just going to have the title here, and the title is going to say continue with Google. Let me just save that and see how that looks like. As you can see, that looks good, although I still need to add 1 or 2 right there. So I'm just going to say after this, I need to make sure I wrap my entire button inside its own view. And I'm just going to carry all of this, cut it, and put it inside of this. And say, okay, I want to have a class name here, and this class name is going to say width of full, because my button doesn't seem to be filling the entire width of the screen. Width of full, I justify of start. Save that, and we are good to go. So remember that we have an icon right here. So I'm just going to add that right now, and I'm going to say just under this, I want to have ant design from expo vector icons, and this is going to be a self-closing tag. The name of the icon name is going to be Google. The size is going to be size of 20. The color is going to be of gray. Save that, and this seems to be outside of where I want it to be, and that is because my button should not be a self-closing tag, but its own component like this. So let me just cut this, put this right here, and save that. As you can see, that works as expected. So the button outline, it works as a self-closing tag if you do not have a children. If you have a children, you need to make this its own component with the first closing tag and second closing tag, and have the icon inside of that. Good. Now that this is ready, I can just copy and paste this. So just copy this, put this right here, and remember, this is not going to be continuing with Google. This is going to be continuing with Apple. So let me just change this text, continue with Apple. And this is going to be Apple 1. And also, I should delete this by 700. And this should work as expected. Right. So now that that is complete, all I have to do is make sure that my spacing looks like what I have right here, because this spacing doesn't look like this. And this logo, I do not have it yet. Let me bring that in, and let me just, so above this, I want to have what I would call logo brand name. to save that. And right here, I'm going to say the view. I'm going to say the class name is going to be what? Width of full, px of 4, items of center. And this right here is where I'm going to bring in my logo and all. So right, I'm going to say animated dot view, and inside of this is going to have an entry, and my entry is going to be fit all right. As always, it's going to have a duration, and duration is going to be 100. I'm also going to have Spotify right here. So all right, I want to have a class name right here, and I'm going to say this is going to be flex or row, justify of center, items or center. And inside of this as well, I want to have our main image. So I'm going to say this is going to be a view, and this view is going to stay inside of another view, and this view itself is going to have a class name, and this class name is going to be width of 20, height of 20, overflow of 18. And inside of this, I'm going to have my image, which is going to be coming from export image, which is going to be self-closing tag. Right, I takes in some parameters that are required. It takes in the source, and require is going to be a method like this. I'm just going to pass in the parts of my image, and it lives inside of the assets, inside of images, and inside of logo .png. So I have to add a placeholder, and the placeholder has to be a blur hash. And let me just global search my blur hash so I can bring it in. So I'm just going to copy all of this, control copy, close this, put this right here, blur hash, and just invent this, and close this. So this is going to be blur hash, not blur hash. Moving on, I'm going to say this content fit is going to be of cover, and also the transition is going to be 1000. And finally, the class name that I want is going to be width of full, height of full, flex of 1. Saving that, you have your logo right here. So that is what I want. And you can see all of this is just mumbled and jumbled up, and that's because we missed an E right here. Space Y of 6, it gives all of these components a space in between them. So putting that, save it, you're going to see it spreads out accordingly, and that should look like what we have right here. So the logo, the text. So we have done a good job right here. Moving on, once we click on the login, we want it to take us to the login screen, and we are not done with this component. Text, it seems I'm not using the text right here, so I can just remove that. That is the benefit of TypeScript. It's going to show you what you're using and what you're not using. And good. So first things first, I want to import what I'm going to call my navigation, and that is coming from React Navigation Native. And just right here, I'm going to say import. I'm going to import two things from at React Navigation /native. And what I'm going to import, we've done it before, is going to be navigation props, and also use navigation. Right, save that. And all I have to do is make use of these two methods that I'm importing from React Navigation Native. So right inside of my welcome string, I'm going to declare two variables. I'm going to call this const open equally braces. And before I even do anything, I want to assign it to use navigation. I remember to put the bracket right there. So inside of these, I'm going to say navigate is what I want to extract out of this use navigation method. And I'm going to assign it to what I want to have my own name to be. I'm going to say navigate auth, and that is what that looks like. And I'm going to assign it to a type, navigation prop. And this navigation prop is going to show two squiggly lines, and that's because it needs its own type as well. So I'm just going to assign it to, before I do that, let me just duplicate this and create the type before assigning the type. So I'm just going to put this right here as well. I'm going to change this name. I'm going to say this is going to be navigation tab right here. And also, all I need to do now is just create their types and we should be good to go. So let me just go to my types right here. As you can see right here. So just above this, I'm going to say type auth navigation type. And this is going to be assigned, where is my equal to sign? And I'm going to define some things right here. I'm going to say welcome is going to be undefined. The login is going to be undefined. The register, because I'm going to use this in all of these cases, they are undefined by default. And splash is going to be undefined as well. So save these. Next thing I want to do is create the tab navigation type. And I'm just going to say type tab navigation type. And this is going to be assigned to just one. And it's going to be home and undefined. Save that. And right here, I can just import or use my types. So I'm going to say auth navigation type, and you see the squiggly line disappears. And also, I'm going to assign tab navigation type here. And also, we're going to see the squiggly line disappears. So my job now is to use this navigation auth to navigate to my login screen. And also this navigation tab to navigate to wherever I want it to go. Although I don't think I'll be even using this at all, because you cannot go directly from this button to the navigation tab. So I'm just going to remove this. Pardon me. And even this, I do not need it. Let me just comment that out. Or comment that out. Let me save this. And this is the only thing I'll be using right here. And you can guess where I'm going to use them. And I'm going to using them in my button. Remember, I created an action for each of these buttons right here. If you just right click and go to definition, you're going to see a nice small window here showing everything about the button. You can see the action, and I assigned the action to an on-press, which is optional. So right here, I'm just going to say action is going to be what? I'm going to be assigning it to two curly braces, and I'm going to be assigning it to an arrow function. And I'm going to say navigate auth, and I'm going to assign the login to it. That way, if I click this button, take me to the login screen. And the same thing for the sign up. Let me just copy this, and put this right here. for this is going to say register, and we'll just Ctrl Z that. It's going to register, and this name needs to match the exact string name that you have created right there. As you can see, splash, welcome, login. It has to match the same name you are assigning it to. So if you say you want to go to the welcome string, this is the only thing you have to type in right here. So fingers crossed this works as expected. So click on login. Look at that login string. Click on sign up, register string. Good. That is the behavior we want for our welcome string, and that should wrap up everything for the welcome string. And let me just reload my app and open the terminal. Now it says unable to resolve assets. So let me just add them. My app.json said cannot see icon.png. All right, let me just replace. I'm just going to say logo.png. Save that. I'm just going to reload my app by typing R. You're going to see this logo right here. So the first is first, my splash screen, and it takes me to my welcome screen. And from here, user can say, okay, I want to go to login screen. All right, go to login screen. Sign up. I want to go to the sign up screen, and no issues at all with that. So let me just bring this down, and you should see none of these errors should appear again. So let me just close that, close this, and as you can guess, we're going to go to our login screen right now, and this is where we're going to start building the next screen. So the design for this login screen is going to be coming from the login screen right here. We're going to have these text boxes, text inputs that takes in the values. I will be able to log in and register and do all of what we want in both strings, log in and register. So let's jump into that straight away. First things first, I want to create some set of states first before we even move ahead. So I'm going to create the email and also set the email. Because we want to collect the user's information, we have to set or create the state that will handle all of that for us. I'm going to say this is use state. It is coming from React, and it is going to be an empty string. Same with this, I'm going to say I want a password, and the password, I need a function that will set the password as well. I'm going to say this is use state, set it to an empty string as well. Also, I want to be able to track if my login is loading, and or if it's in a loading state, or the server is checking if I'm logged in. So I have to show a loading icon, and the loading that we handle that is going to be called is loading. So if my app is loading, or if it's true, show an icon. If not, just take me to a particular string. So I'm going to set is loading. I'm going to assign this to use state. I'm going to put this as empty string, or sorry, false. This is going to be a boolean. So first things first, my view, and inside of my view, I'm just going to make it a class name. I'm going to make it a flex of 1. And also inside of this, I'm going to have a curly braces right here. I'm going to say if this loading is true, then you should do something, and basically that is going to just show a loading icon. So I'm just going to say view, and let me just set this to be like this, and I'm going to have a class name here. The class name is going to be absolute, and z of 50, z index of 50, height of full, justify of center, items of center. And inside of this view again, I want to have another view. I do not know why these are not self-closing, but hey, that is reality for you, or my ID anyway. So height of full for this, width of full, justify of center, items of center, PG of black, opacity, and I want a unique opacity of 0.45. And also I want to now have the final view inside of this. So that will now be here. That will be like this. And inside of this is where I'm going to have my activity indicator. And you'll be using this a lot if you want to be a React Native developer. And activity indicator takes into account the size of the loading icon, and this is going to be of large, and also the color, it has to be of white because I already have a dark background solving that here. So if I just put this value in true, you're going to see what I just created. So as you can see, this is what that looks like, but I still have one thing to add here, and I'm just going to say, okay, this is going to be absolute. And let me just save that. And it seems there's still one or two issues with this. And also I need to add a width of full here. Right. So that is the only challenge there. So you can see it right here. This is what I just implemented. So if the user click on this button right here, login, to show this to the user, okay, something is happening, we just wait. If there's an error, you cancel, show an error message, you try again if your credentials are not correct. Or if it is correct, just takes me directly to the home tab, and I have no issues with that. So let me just minimize this and change this back to files. So save this, and I can go ahead with my main login right here. So just under this, I'm going to have a view right here, and this view will have a class name, and the class name is going to justify center, items of center. It's going to be relative, and flex of 1. Inside of this again, I'm going to have another view, and it's going to have the following class name. The class name is going to be justified of center, width of full, px of 4, space y of 4. And also I want to have a style here because I want to have the specific height, and the height is going to be coming from height multiply by 0.75, and this height I need to bring it in up here. Now I'm going to say const. I'm going to open an empty curly braces and first assign it to dimensions coming from React Native, and I have to get the window of the user. So whatever device you're using, you can use this to get the user's device width and height, and you can use this to manipulate the height of the component. So I'm going to say this is going to be width and height. This is supposed to be a comma, right? So this error should disappear, and that is that about that. So first things first, let me have a welcome text. So inside of this, I'm going to have an animated dot text, or dot view rather, and I'm here to import that. Let me just import that from React Native reanimated. And inside of these, I want to have a class name, and the class name is going to be justify of center, items of center. And just under this, I'm going to say entering is going to be fade in down dots, and as usual we're going to have a duration, and the duration is going to be 100, and also springify just like we did previously. And so inside of my view, I want to have text, and my text is going to say class name. Class name is going to be text of neutral 800, text of 2XL. Label is going to be of 60 pixels, and I need to also have a specific font for this. So this is where I wanted to use my style before, and I'm just going to say font family. It is going to be plus Jakarta Sans bold, and this is going to say welcome back user. And what else do I need? Yeah, I also need, let me just save this so you can see what we're working on. You can see welcome back user. So I'm just going to, let me just continue creating it. So I'm just going to say text, and this is going to say welcome back. Please enter your details. Just going to add a full stop there and enter to spell it like that. So obviously I need its own properties as well. Let me save it. It is going to have a text color neutral, and it's going to be 500. The text is going to be small. The font is going to be of medium. Save that, and that should look like that. And our welcome text is ready. Moving on, I want to have my various text inputs. This is different from just text. It takes in a value this, and I'm just going to come under this and say, all right, let me just create a comment right here, or even remove this because it's sitting at the bottom of my screen. I do not want that. So inside of this component right here, instead of this view, just under the welcome text, I want to have a text input, and underneath of this, just like we did, I want to have an animated dot view, and this is going to have its properties as well. I'm going to say this as a class name, and this class name is going to be py of 8 space y of 8. So underneath of this, I'm going to say entry. The entry is going to be fade in down, and this is going to be dot duration, and duration is going to be 100. Also the delay, it is going to be of 200, and also springify it like this. All right, so after this, I'm going to have two views inside of it. We represent the two inputs that I'll be having, and I'm just going to put this as email, and this is going to say I want to have a view here. Definitely have a class name, and the class name is going to be border of 2, border gray, which is the color of 400, rounded of large, and I'm going to have a text input right here, which is going to be a self closing tag, and I have to import that from React Native, and I'm just going to select React Native right here. So it takes in some properties, and the first thing is, this is not important though. I just want to have a nice pattern around my text, and I want to say on change of the text, this is where it gets interesting. Whenever I change the text, I want it to be tracked and saved somewhere. So I'm just going to apply an arrow function here. Then set email to the text. And this text is going to work as the parameter right here. So whatever text the user type in, I want to assign it to this email right here. So moving on, I'm going to say the value is going to be of email, which I created right here. So moving on, I'm going to say the placeholder is going to be basically the email, and also the auto capitalize, I want it to be of none. And saving that, you're going to see my email right here, and I can type in whatever I want inside of this. And also I want to add for the password as well. So after this view, I'm just going to copy all of this, copy this, put this here, put a comment right here. I'm going to say password, and this works just like this. Let me even save this so you can see what we are doing so far. So this also has a class name of partner 4. This is not going to be set email, but set password, and this stays the same. This placeholder is going to be of password, and yes, that is what we need. And you can see our email looking, or our field looking similar to what we have right here. All you have to do is just add this button and this other information. So all I need to do is just collapse this text input and just type email and password text input. So underneath of this, I need to have the login button, and this I'm just going to say animated dot view, and this is going to take in some properties. Like always, it's going to have a class name, and the class name is going to be width of full, justify of start, and also the entry is going to be fade only down, and the duration is going to be of 100. Also, I want the delay to be of 300. Also, I want the springify right there as well. So my button, as always, I will just have a view here. This view, we have a class name of adding button of 6. And also, I'm just going to have a button. And this button, I'm just going to give it a title. This is the essence of creating a reusable component. You can always reuse them without having to write all the code again. And the action is where it gets really interesting, because we need to bring in a function from Supabase. And again, Supabase is the framework tool that's going to undo all the authentication of our app. They provided us several functions, and one of them includes sign in with email. So all I have to do is just set that up for you so we can assign that function right here. But before that, I can go ahead and write a remaining code. To save that, you can see my login button right here. Good. I need to bring in my breaker as well. So let me head back to my welcome screen. Do I have a breaker here? Let me just copy this, and just paste this right here, but also import that, save that. You can see my breaker right here. And finally, I need to bring in this button as well. I have this created already, but I'm still just going to create it myself. Or let me check third party auth. Let me copy this, I can actually make this reusable as well. And I'm just going to import this, also import this, and I'm just going to remove one of these. Save that. You should have continuity right here. And also, I want to say, all right, I want to be able to show this text right here, which is don't have an account register. It is just a normal text. I'm just going to say don't have an account. I'm just going to say, all right, so let's just have an animated dot view, and I'm just going to have this as a class name, and the class name is going to be flex of row, justify of center items of center, and the entry is going to be fade wheel down. The duration is going to be 100. This also is going to have a delay of 700. It's going to have a springify right here. So inside of this, I'm going to have text. Let me just have the first text here. Don't call it right. Let me just add this to this because there's a spacing. There's a spacing there. Don't have an account. It seems there is a border of white here which I do not want. And let me just remove this. I do not even need a border. Let me just save this. And I believe that is here as well. I do not need a border of white. Let me just remove this as well. Okay, so don't have an account. Right, let me just start this. I want to have a class name. Or instead, let me just duplicate this first. And let me say, okay, I want to have something here, which will be called register. So you can see the magic we want to perform with this. So the class name for this is going to be text neutral. And the neutral is going to be 500. Text is going to be large. Font is going to be medium. The leading is going to be 38 pixels. And text is going to be center. Not text on right, but center. And also, I want to have a specific font for this. Now you're also going to say font family. It is going to be assigned to plus Jakarta. Sans medium. And that is how that should look. So save that. You should see the changes right here. I don't have an account register. The same thing I'm going to do for this. Let me copy this. Copy this. Paste this here. And I'm going to make these bold. And let me just add the class name right here. And the class name for this is going to be text neutral of 800, text of large, font of medium, leading is going to be 38 pixels, then text of center, Save that, and that should look like that. And also, if I click on this register, I want it to take me to the register screen, and you can guess what I'm going to do like I did before. Let me just minimize this. I'm just going to say press able, which is coming from your React Native. I'm just going to wrap my entire text inside of it, and I'm going to say, okay, once I unpress it, I want you to do something which is basically taking me to the register screen, and all I have to do is just say navigate it, which I don't have set up yet. So I'm just going to, let me just create that, navigate auth. I'm yet to create this, by the way, so do not be afraid what I am doing right here. So this doesn't exist, I have to create it right here. So right here, I'm going to say const. We've done this before. I'm just going to open a curly braces and assign this to use navigation, and this is going to be assigned to this. So inside of this, I still need to bring in something again, and like we did before, it's going to be navigation prop. And inside of this, I'm going to say, all right, bring in the navigate, cool, but assign it to navigate auth. And also, I want this to be assigned to the navigation prop. And also, I want this to be assigned to auth navigation type, and just close this so this doesn't throw any unnecessary errors for us. So save that, and everything should work as expected. This password, I'm supposed to assign it to the password section here. This is not what I want. I want a password. Cool. With the password email. And all right. So whatever information I have here, it is going to be assigned here. So whatever I type in all these fields, it's going to be assigned here. And if I click on login, it's going to take those two information, send them to Superbase, and Superbase will check if I am already having an account on their dashboard, or the dashboard I set up for my company, and they're just going to say, okay, yeah, you're good to go. This person has an account. Then on my own end, all I have to do is just, okay, if the person session exists and the person is a user, just send them directly to the home tab and we are good to go. So this, let me just check if we have all of this set up. So right, everything looks the same. So if I click on register, you take me directly to the register screen, and this is how that works. So let me just set up a register screen and bring in all the functions for the Superbase, so we can now go into the main build of our app, which is the news, the crypto coins, and everything displayed on our screen. So in my register screen, and just say, okay, register screen. So in my register screen, the design looks similar, and this is how that looks like. So I'm basically going to copy and paste whatever I have in my login, put it here, then change some information. So everything in my login, let me just control and copy. I'm just going to put these here, but remember I have to change the name. So right here, I just have to say, okay, register screen. And my register screen doesn't look like this. And the first text right here, so if I click on register, you can see it's just a text right here. But if I save this, it has the same information right here, but that is not what I want. And right here, I want to say register to join us. Save that. And I'm going to see the difference between the register and the login screen. So this is the login screen, and this is a register screen. and I'm going to say welcome back. Please, not really welcome back. I'm just going to say welcome. Please enter your details, and that should be good to go. So instead of don't have an account, I'm basically going to say have an account. Have an account. Do you have an account? All right. Then I'll just put login here instead of register. But then say login. And also I'm going to change this to login right here. So if I click on login, it takes me to login screen. Click on register, takes me to register screen. Click on login, takes me to login screen, and so on and so forth. So all I have to do is just bring in my Supabase configuration so users can register and sign up, or register and log in into our app, and finally take us to where we're going to go. So let me just head back into my screen here. So this and this, I'm going to leave it. Let me close the welcome screen, and this is where I'm going to set up things right now. All right, so first things first, let me create a new folder in my root directory. So I'm going to call this lib, and this is where my Supabase configurations is going to live. And I'm just going to create a new file here. I'm going to call this supabase.txt. I'm going to be leaving links in the description box below on how to get your configurations and all. So in my Supabase, I'm going to import 3 fields. I'm going to say import React Native URL polyfill, and I'm going to import auto like that. Also, I'm going to import async storage train at React Native async storage slash restore storage. And finally, I'm going to say import with a create client. I'm going to import that from at Supabase slash super. I need to put this inside of a string. What is a Supabase slash JS? So moving on, I'm going to create a variable. I'm going to say this is going to be Supabase. I'm going to assign it to my database URL, and you can find this in your account. Again, I'm going to drop the link in the description on how to go about this. HTTPS : and this is going to work like this, ls. So this you will find in your account. Also, I'm going to create another variable called Supabase unknown key. It's going to be assigned to a long unknown key, which I cannot type, but I will just copy and paste into my code. So first things first, I'm just going to paste this again. And also my unknown key, which is unique for everybody, I'm just going to paste it right here. And moving on, just underneath of this, I'm going to create another variable. I'm going to say export const Supabase. Then I'm going to create client. And let me just put a gap right here. Create client. I'm going to say, okay, I want to do 2 things. First, put in my Supabase URL here. Supabase URL. And also Supabase unknown key. Then comma, put all of this inside a curly braces. I'm going to say, okay, auth. And this auth is going to have storage. And the storage is going to be async storage. Let me just put a comma right here. And it says, all right, I made a mistake right here. This is supposed to be Supabase URL. So the next thing here is going to be auto refresh token. I'm going to set this to true. Next thing, I want to persist the session. All right, this is going to be true as well. I want to detect session in URL, and this is going to be false. So this is how to set up the Supabase configurations. And the next thing I want to do is set up the store on my physical device, so that whenever the user is logged in, we have to save their session somewhere and be able to track it. So if the user has a section on Supabase, right, we have to save that session on our device and say, okay, this is the user information and all. And if they don't, or if the user logs out, we're just going to clear that session from our store on our device. And let me just create a new folder here. I'm just going to call this store. And inside of this store, I'm going to say use user store.js. And inside of this, I'm going to import the following. I will say import create. It's going to be coming from toStand. And also I want to import persist from toStand middleware, and also create JSON storage. So these are the two things that will import it from toStand middleware. Also, I want to import async storage from React Native, not from React Native, but from React Native async storage. And finally, in the import, I want to import two important tools: to session. I want to import session and also user from Supabase.js. So I have to first, like I said, create an export. So I'm going to export this user store, and I'm going to assign it to create. And this is what that looks like. And just above it, let me create an interface, which is a type for the user store. I'm going to say user store. I'm going to say the user is going to be user, this user I have right here. And else, if there's no user, I'll just set it to null. And also I want to set the user, and set the user is going to be user, which obviously is the user coming from here again, or null. And this is also going to be a function, but I want to set it to void noun. Also, the session is going to be session else, just set it to null. So we've used both of these functions from Supabase, and I'm going to say is logged in. So boolean like this, and also I'm going to have the final one is log set is logged in. This is the function that will set the is logged in. And I believe I missed something here. I'm going to come back to it. This session I have to set the section as well. So for every state that you create, you need a function that will update that state. That is how it works. So set logged in is going to be is logged in. It's going to be assigned to a boolean, and it's going to be a void. And also, what do I need to do again? So like I said, I need to set session, and this is going to look like this. I'm just going to say session is going to be the session coming from Superbase, else no, and is going to be void. So I have to assign this type I just created to a method inside of this. So I'm just going to say persist, which we brought in from toStand. So we have to persist the logged in user so that whenever we just close our app, we don't lose that user session and we still keep it on our device. You can only clear the session if it expires or if the user logs out. So I'm just going to say user store, and this will look like this. All right, so I have to create an arrow function that looks like this. And inside of this, I'm going to call this set with a small letter. And inside of this, I'm going to say user is going to be null. Session is going to be null as well. Is logged in is going to be of false. Is on boarded is going to be false as well. And also I want to say set user, and this set user is going to look like this. User will be assigned to user from Superbase, else no, and we're going to set, and this is going to be an arrow function by the way. So set is a method itself, and inside of this we're going to have an arrow function like this. So inside of this I'm going to say state, and inside of this I'm going to say alright, the user like this, and the next one is set is logged in, and this is going to be assigned to session, and also I have to put a fallback right here, and I'm going to have an arrow function that says set, which is a method on its own, and I have to provide an arrow function like this. So inside of this I'm going to set set as well, and inside of this I'm going to say is logged in, and this is throwing an error. Set is logged in is not going to be session, it is going to be is logged in. Permit me for that error is logged in, and this is going to be Ctrl Z. It is going to be of boolean, and this does not have to be a null. So set is logged into this, and why is this still throwing that functions can only be used in TypeScript files? And it seems I make a mistake right here. This is supposed to be a .ts file. That is only where you can use type annotations, and it says something here as well. Expect 2 arguments but got 1. No problem, I'm going to fix that argument in a bit. And it says set is logged in, expected a comma, and right, let me just set this. All right, let me just close this. So the second argument that this needs, I'm going to set it later on, and or I can actually set it now and say okay. So this is the, I'm just going to have a comma here, I'm going to have a curly braces here, and this is going to say name is going to be fintech crypto user store, and I'm going to have a comma here as well, and I'm going to say in storage is going to be assigned to create JSON storage. And I'm going to say this is going to be an arrow function as well of async storage. And this I will just leave like this. And it seems our app is throwing some error which we do not want. Session missing and okay, I believe. Okay, let me just check this. Set property session is missing type. So all I have to do is complete this and the error should disappear. So I'm going to say set session. As you can see, the error disappears. I'm going to say this is going to be session. It's going to be session. And it's going to be assigned to me null. And I'm going to assign it just like I assign the following. It's going to be an array function. I'm going to call this session. I'm going to set this to states. And we are good to go to use this in our app. And it said, do you mean use async storage? And alright, I do not need to put these inside of curly braces like this, and this should work as expected. So let me just save that, and our store is ready. And the only thing we have to do is bring this inside of our app.tsx. So I'm just going to head back to my app.tsx, and right here I'm going to say const. I'm going to say session. I'm going to set this to user. I'm going to bring this from use user store and save that. And I'm going to also use a use effect right here. I'm going to say use effects, and I'm going to have an arrow function outside of that. I'm just going to say console.log if the user exists and the session as well. And also I'm going to put this inside a dependency array. So it is these two things that will trigger this use effect anytime we are in our app directory or file. So whenever the session is available, let me check this, and we can see now the user is not available, the session is not available. So we are setting it to no, and we're possibly that. If we have a user and their information, it is going to show their information right here. So let me just bring this down. So let me just copy this as well. And if you could remember in our screen inside of root application, we're using this before. Let me just replace that with this. And let me just import that. So we're going to be using a session coming from the use user store. So it works the same way just like we did, but this one is how it should be done. So if the session is false right now, that is why we are still this. If I set it to true, where we have our app right here, if I set it to true, we're going to see that it is going to be taking us directly to the home tab. So all right, so back to my root navigation. I want to check for two things. If the session is true and the session.user information is true as well, that is when I want to go to the tab navigation. Else, just take me to all these login screens that I am saying right now. So that is all for this root navigation. The session is up and running. We are not coming back there. So let me just close this. And my app as well. Let me just close this as well. This as well. Let me check. Do I need to do anything here? No, I do not need to. Superbase is ready. Close this as well. So to be able to log in my user, I have to do something first. and that is creating a set of functions that Supabase has provided for us. So I'm just going to say new file. I'm going to say use Supabase auth.tx, and inside of this I'm going to import several functions from Supabase, and I do not need to create this one by one because it is quite a lot. I'm just going to copy and paste it. You can find this on Supabase website, and that is what I'm going to do right now. So inside of this, I'm going to be leaving this code URL for you, so you can just copy and paste it. And this is how that looks like. Let me just collapse all of this. And as you can see, I'm importing Supabase from Supabase, obviously. And use user store, I'm importing from the user store that we have created in my store right here. So I'm bringing out session, set session, and set user from this use user store. And these 3 or 5 functions are coming from Supabase. They provided us that. So sign in with email, they need our email and password. And error, if we are getting an error, we can return the error. If not, just return the data. And this is how to sign in with password. So this is sign up with email. We are getting our error and data from this method right here, email and password. We are returning error and data, and these are the 2 information we are sending to database to register with email. Sign out, basically, if there's no error, just sign out, and just set session, which we are setting on our physical device here. If you click on sign out, to set that session to null, set user to null, so that we are back to our login screen. And that is what that does. Get user profile. This is basically getting all the user information. If the session user doesn't exist, no user on this session. And we're just bringing in these 3 functions, data, error, and status from Supabase from our profile. And this is coming from the database. And we're getting the URL. So we are getting the username, the full name, the avatar URL, and the website. These are the data we'll be using to edit our profile later, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So all of these are Postgres, by the way, and you don't need to really know everything. Just copy and paste it here and just get your authentication working. But if you want to really know about it, just read more about the from, select, EQ, and single from Supabase. And finally, the update user profile. We're getting all this information once we fill in all these fields in our edit profile screen, not here. And we're just sending it to Supabase, and we're updating our profile, and that is what all of this does. So all I have to do is just export all of this tree, and all of this 5, and we are good to go. So all I have to do is just use all of this. Let me just save this and head back to my login screen, or let me go to my register screen first. And right here, I can just register a user first. So up here, I'm basically going to say, just after this, let me minimize this. My register, I want to register my users before they log in. So I'm just going to say async function. And I'm going to sign up with email. And I'm going to bring this like this. And I'm just going to say set is loading. Whoops. Set is loading. I would set to false or true instead. To true. And also I'm going to say const the data is coming from insertion. And comma, I'm going to also say error, and I'm also going to have a comma right here. And at the end of the day, I'm going to await all of these. I'm going to say Supabase .auth.sign up, and this is going to look like this. Now we're just going to pass the email that we've collected from the user already. I'm going to say email and also password, which assign it to password. And moving on, I'm going to say, all right, if the session doesn't exist, just alert and say, I'm just going to say, please check your inbox for verification. And I'm just going to import things from React Native. Alert is coming from React Native. And I'm going to say if error exists, I'm just going to open a curly braces. As it said, is loading. I'm going to set it to false. Because as you can remember, once the loading is true, you're going to see a loading icon right here for the activity indicator. If the loading is true, set that to this thing. Else, I'm just going to say set is loading to false as well. And although I might need to alert this as well in case there's any error. So if there's any error, I'm just going to clear this and say alert the error as well. Right. So, all right. This is what I want to do. So if I register, I have to assign this, by the way, to my button right here. Remember the action that we have created. So in my button, I'm just going to head to my button. Where's my button? So I have to pass in an action. Let me just go to my register. And this is not supposed to be login. This is supposed to be register. And I'm just going to say I want an action right here. And the action is going to be an arrow function. And this is going to be assigned to sign up with email. And this is how that will look like. So whenever I pass in any field here, click on register, you're going to see the loading icon and it's going to show if I have successfully registered or not. So I'm just going to register here and say I want to register Dave's. And it has to be an email. And this has to be an existing email so that it can send you the link to verify your email. So I'm just going to type in a password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And if I click on register, you're going to see this loading icon. And if it is successful, it will show you. And if it is not, it will show you an error. But this will say, please check your inbox for verification, which just shows that we have successfully registered. Okay, I do not like that message fully. So I can just say registered successfully. Please check your inbox for verification. Save that. Let me change this to Dave 1 as well. Or let me say Rachel. I'll click on register. Register successfully. Please check your inbox for verification. Good. So if I go to my login now, I should be able to enter those credentials. But because I have not verified my email, I cannot log in. As a user, you can just check your email. But because that email doesn't exist, I cannot use that. I would have used my original email, but that is private. So I'll just go back to my login. I just implement my login right here. I use an email that I have already on my Supabase account. So I'm just going to head back here. I'm just going to copy this as well. So command copy, login. Let me just paste this. And under this, let me just paste this. And this is going to be sign in with email. Set loading to true. I'm going to bring in two things right here anyway. So const, then data, and this is going to be coming from sign in. Let me bring in, or let me just erase everything here and start afresh. I'm going to say const, and I'm going to assign this to await superbase dot auth dot sign in with password. I'm going to pass in 2 items here, the email and also the password. And inside of this, I'm just going to say data and also error. Good. So if error is true, if we get an error, let me just Ctrl Z this and move these up. So if the error is true, set loadings to false and also alert the error message as alert and also see error dot message. I'm just going to say right here, and I don't need an else statement at all. So right here, the next thing I want to do is if data.session is true and data.user is true, the data I'm getting from the response from this superbase function, if they are both true, all I have to do is just set session, and I'm just going to say data.session, and also I'm going to say set user. I'm going to import both of them pretty soon. Ctrl Z. This is not what I want. I'm going to say data.user. So let me just import this. It doesn't give me any suggestion, and I believe I imported them right here. So let me just check. Do I have them imported? No, I do not. So let me just go and import it right here. So I'm just going to say import use user store from @user store. And also underneath of this is where I'm going to bring both of those functions. And I'm going to say use user store right here. And I'm going to say, all right, set user and also set session. So save this. And the error should not persist here at all. As you can see, it's right here. So that is all we need to do regarding this, I believe. And I might need to wrap everything here inside a try and catch just for best practices. So all of these, I'm just going to copy or cut all of this, put this right here, and whatever error I catch, I can just console.log it, and I can just say, all right, save that. And this again, I have to use it. So copy, go to my button, my login button, and the action, it has to be an arrow function. And I'm just going to paste what I just copied here. So this wraps up my login setup. So I can just go here and say, okay, I have an email already on my database, and trust me, I'm going to teach you how to do all of this. I would have used those credentials I use in registering to set up these, but there is a limitation to that in the sense that you will need to verify your email, and going to my email, click on verification and all of that. I don't want to go through the process. And even after clicking the link, because even after clicking the link, you still need to do some binding and all to be able to verify your email and work properly. It doesn't do like that on the web at all. You just go directly to the localhost, but on mobile development, there is a limitation to that, and that can be fixed. I can do that, but that will just take too much of our time. And this email, I just set it up on my dashboard without verification, and so I can use it for testing and all. I'm just going to type in my password right here: 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and let me just check once again if this is supposed to be like this. So if I just click on login, invalid login credentials, good. This is what I want. If the credentials are wrong, show me so I can know what to do again. And let me just remove this and just click on login. And this is going to take me to the tab navigation, like as you can see right here, which shows that I am logged in. And if I close this app, open it again, this is where it's going to bring me back unless I sign out. So, all right, this is what we want for our app. And if I just go to the tab navigation, and I can just see here, welcome to tab navigation. Save that. You're going to see it right here. So this is where I'm going to bring in all of these screens right here. And you're going to see all those bottom tabs right here. So this is what I want. And right, we are done with our auth navigation. That took some minutes or some time to achieve that, but that is how to set up a proper navigation or authentication instead. Again, that is how to set up our authentication for our mobile app in React Native and Expo using Superbase. If you have that set up, you can reuse it for all your mobile apps that you want to build using React Native and Expo. And all you have to do is just copy and paste the code, and you are good to go. So this wraps up the authentication part of our mobile app. We are going to go into the main business of setting up the tab navigation from home. You're able to see the coins, you're able to see the logged in user, their information. And if you just go back to this, you're going to see the information I logged earlier. As you can see, before it was showing no, and that is right here in my app.tsx. I said, okay, if the user is logged in, just log in their user details and the session. Before we're showing no, and before we're saying, okay, no user exists, but the session, this is the session. But later on, it updated everything, and you're going to see my information right here. As you can see, provider email, whatnot. The email that I used to register, john@gmail.com, and email confirmed at so date, and you can see how that works. So you can as well remove all of this. If you do not want it, you can remove the console log, but I like to keep it there so I can look, okay, nothing is wrong with my user state. And yeah, so the next stage is doing the tab navigation and setting up the other screen. We're already in the app right now. Let us get things started. And this is the most interesting part of our fintech crypto app. Join me as I move ahead with that. Okay, so first things first, we're going to head into our screens folder inside of source. So we head to our string. And you know what? I might as well just close all of these and close this, and I'll just head into navigation, tab navigation, and inside of this is where I want to import all of my tab navigations, and this is what we'll be creating, by the way. All of these tabs and all of these strings, we have to bring them in here. So as you can guess, that is bottom tab navigation. So right, we're just going to head into this and minimize everything, close this. So first things first, I want to import some set of things that make our bottom tab navigation function. And right here, I'm just going to say import inside of a curly braces. Instead of a curly braces, I'm going to say from. I'm going to say at React, and now it's coming from navigation bottom tabs. So React that navigation / bottom tabs, and I'm going to import create bottom tab navigation or navigator rather, and also I'm going to import icons. I'm going to specifically import from. Let me first import at expo vector icons, and what I'm going to import from expo vector icons is ION